Okay.
You want to make sign up for public?
I like what Carrie said. We'll just have them when they approach the podium.
It's like your first time chairing a meeting. You're in charge of the public hearing.
No big deal. It's loosely organized chaos, right?
Are you chairing this or am I chairing this? Okay.
I don't know what he was talking about.
I think he maybe said the name Bruce, but he meant the name Brad.
First planning commission meeting I chaired was the public hearing on the CUP. So it was just like, well, let's drop him in the deep end of the fat briar.
Oh, no worries.
Everybody's mics on?
There you go.
Everybody's mics on?
Yep.
All right, we're going to call the meeting to order at 6 o'clock. A reminder, with a quorum of 4, 3 votes tonight will pass village business because it's a majority of the quorum.
Right. Okay.
First item on the agenda, or second item on the agenda, is to approve the agenda, but we have some changes to make prior to the approval. So we'll need a motion to amend the agenda.
Okay, I'll make a motion to amend the agenda to move item 6H to 4A, right after the public input.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Bruce and a second by Van to move item 6H to 4A. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Motion carries. All right, now I will entertain a motion to approve the amended agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the amended agenda.
I'll second.
Motion by Bruce, second by Neil to approve the amended agenda. Any discussion? Seeing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Passes. Item 3. So this is our consent agenda. So this is now part of our monthly village board agenda. So these are all the items that have been approved to be moved into the consent agenda. So we've got approval of 3 different meeting minutes, our regular meeting from September 12th, a special meeting with the airport commission from September 29th, and another special meeting held on September 29th. Licenses and permits. We have 3 operators licenses and 2 special event permits. And then board committee and commission agency reports, the 7 that are listed, approval of vouchers payable, and a budget summary. Is there any discussion on any of these items before we entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Nope.
I had one thing. I had noticed that there was maybe an outstanding concern regarding the Light Up Osceola event, maybe. Is there still an outstanding concern with regard to the banner that's going to go over Main Street? It looked like there might have been a conflict with another event. Is Todd here that can answer that?
Yeah, the only conflict was the banner date that they requested, a conflicting banner being the pumpkin ride from the train.
Yeah, that's what it was.
So yeah, that's the only conflict. I did note in the special event permit that
Okay.
we would install it just at a later date than they requested.
Okay, both parties have been notified of that and we're fine.
I am not entirely sure, well, so, no, both permits have been approved, except for the pumpkin express.
They will be in a
They will
moment.
be.
Yeah.
So they were noted in the permit. It's up to the permit applicant to review their permit after it has been passed by.
Got it. Okay.
And I think Light Up Osceola is early December.
Yeah,
so
it sounds
shouldn't
like
be
there
too
was
much
a-
of a conflict.
A chamber banner that included, what, 3 events? Was that right? I think it was 3
Oh,
that were going to be called out. Light Up Osceola and something else, 2 other things, I think.
I
So,
just moved the 2 that are on here.
okay.
Okay.
Okay. Well, as long as that's settled, then I think I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
All right. Motion by Bruce, second by Neil to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion passes. All right, item 4, public input and ideas. Limit 5 minutes per speaker. Anybody who wishes to speak before the board tonight, you can indicate your intent by raising your hand, speaking up, whatever. We'll just try to move through everybody that we can in order. I don't know names, so I would say that at first hand I saw was probably Mike's. So Mike, if you want to come up to the podium, state your name, address,
And fill out the sheet.
and then, yeah, if you could put your name on the sheet that's at the podium, that would be great.
Hello. I'm obviously here to speak about the statue in town. I'm going to take a little different stance on it.
Mike, can I have your name and address, please?
Like sign 648 Quickview,
Thank you.
it's on the list also. There's been some bullet points that I put together based on some conversations I've heard in town. I'm just going to run through this. Whose statue is it anyway? That was the first one. I'm going to put a wager on it that's not relevant, excuse me. There's numerous items across the village that were donated by any number of entities that the village has become the unofficial owner of. Sometimes the village maintains them, sometimes they find donations to maintain. Considering the inconsistencies, I feel the ownership's not relevant. For the argument, it was clearly approved by somebody on the village board at some point to occupy the space that it was at. There's been some concern about whether it's historically correct. So there seems to be an interpretation that the statute in question is not historically correct. I guess that depends on the history you're trying to represent. If one were to consider it as a tribute to the former resident with a love for the community and our public school, I'd argue it's absolutely correct. I'm referring to Seal Niedermeyer. What is history anyway? Assuming one wants to use the village code as a definition, 130.1a, it's hereby declared a matter of public policy that the protection, enhancement, perpetuation, and use of improvements, I'm going to stress that word improvement because I'm going to come back to it, or sites of special character or special architectural, archaeological, or historical interest or value is a public necessity and is required in the interest of the health, prosperity, safety, and welfare of the people. You'll note I did not see a date defined a history. One could easily argue that the statue was perfectly fit special character. Note the word improvement, that's also defined in subsection 130.2. Any building, structure, place, work of art, or other object constituting a physical betterment of real property or any other part of such betterment, including streets, alleys, sidewalks, curbs, light fixtures, signs, and the like. That statute clearly meets the intent of a work of art. I'd also like to point out that signs are included in this subsection of the code. Let's just assume that historical preservation does have some jurisdiction on it because that's been in question. Subsection 130.5b5, this is kind of the crux of my argument here tonight. I think you guys really need to pay attention to. Ordinary maintenance and repairs may be undertaken without certificate of appropriateness, provided that the work involves repairs to an existing feature of a historic structure or site, or the replacement of elements of a structure with pieces of identical in appearance, and provided that the work does not change the exterior appearance of the structure or site and does not require an issuance of a building permit. This situation fits that perfectly. There's a map on the village website that outlines the relevant districts. I believe that the GON development, I apologize, I don't know the right pronunciation of that, has already addressed the inconsistencies and approval of enforcement of the standards within this area. All parties are at fault. And I'm going to stress that all parties are at fault, including the village board has been very inconsistent in following HPC guidelines. And I thought, are there any other rules or exceptions? The HPC uses the language work of art as a description of an improvement. Note I mentioned that earlier. It's interesting because the remainder of the section addresses building features, not a statute. So I did a search for the work of art. It turns out that signage section lists work of arts under the exceptions that do not require a permit. If the village felt it was appropriate not to require the approval to replace a sign located within feet of the statue, which now looks completely different, then the statute too would not require a review. Let's just say that it's offensive, which I don't think it is. Part of the reason I wore this jacket tonight is because I think that logo, that statue and everything has been absolutely embraced in town. At least since '85 when I moved here. I've made a couple of public requests for information, looking for information on this. I've been able to find no more than 6 suggesting they did not return. Of that, only a couple with any measurable history.
30 seconds.
Perfect, thanks. I'm just going to reiterate that 130-5B5, which requires no action by the board tonight. In fact, I just want you to follow the law, which says put it back, because that's what that statute says. Thanks.
Thanks, Mike.
Hi, I'm Paul Anderson, own Prairie Leather Works. I've been in business here for 28 years. And here in support of the chief that's been in place for as long as I've been here. As a prelude to the agenda item, I really don't have a lot to say about the chief, but what I am looking to say is I am perplexed on why it has gone this far, why it has come up to this level, this issue. What I mean is that the chief was taken down to protect him from the demolition of the buildings on Main Street. There was never intent, there was never a work order to have him permanently removed. When he was taken down, he was found to be in disarray condition, and he was set aside, and it was nobody's fault for that. He just got kind of set aside because of the demolition and other things going on. There's never been a work order issued for a complete removal of him. As far as I know, there was one person in town that stated he was not going to go back up. She wanted him gone. Well, now she's gone. So I don't see any problem, and I really don't understand why this should be such a frivolous item to bring to the board. Let's put the chief back up where he belongs.
Thanks, Paul.
Good evening. My name is Eliana Soto Machado. I'm a newer resident to the Osceola area, and it's been wonderful getting to know people on a deeper level. I have grown up in the Twin Cities, and I have frequently been visiting this area for many, many years as a child, and definitely remember the statue of the chief. And since a child, my family and I have been very offended by it. So for those who don't understand the reasoning behind being offended by it, I'd be happy to be in deeper dialogue with people about it. My people are from the Ottawa Taino Nation of the Caribbean, and I'm not the original people of this land. However, I am a tribal member of my people, and I am in relationship deeply with the original people of this land here. And when I moved here, before I moved here, I definitely had in my mind about how I can be involved to get to know people at the community level, to have deeper conversations about my feelings, about seeing that and the experience as an Indigenous person and what that can be like. And when it came down, I was like, oh, that's what's up. Yay, great, right? And then, of course, knowing that there was various reasons as to why it came down. So I'm here just to be clear that there are community members, right, that are here, that are in favor of keeping it down, not putting it up. And I personally would like to be in deeper conversations with people as to really dive into the reasons why and what the harm is and how we can heal a lot of that harm that has been done in our country, right? And how we as people can come together. And for those of that might feel like it is frivolous and great, then there shouldn't be a need so deeply to have this statue put back up if it's not that big of a deal, because it is deeply harmful and hurtful for those of us, right, that actually have chiefs today with our tribal nations, right, and to be treated as a mascot, to be treated as a caricature, to be treated as if we only live in that way, right? There's many deep things around that. So I would like to be in deeper conversation, and so I invite the board to think about how, as a community, we can be in deeper conversation. I'm a circle keeper. I'd be happy to be a part of that. I'd love to meet each and every one of you here and have more conversations about why, right? You may feel connected to its ways and what the questions about what history is, whose history, whose perspective. I'd love to be in a conversation about that. So to be clear, I am in favor of not putting that statue back up. And there are many people that are here present that are also community members here, and many people that are not present, that are community members here, and that are not. They're also community members of our society, right? And some are tribal members of the land here as well. So thank you for your time. Again, my name is Ayana Soy Machado.
Thank you.
Hey, good evening. My name is Maddie Shaw, and I'm a farmer, also a newer resident of this area. And similar to Ayana, I think it would be wise to not put the statue back up. I would love to see more community dialogue around it. I think this is a great opportunity for people in our community who might have different views of the situation to talk to each other about it. And yeah, I would similarly like to just know more about where people are coming from, of like why that statue is important to them. Personally, I have various friends who are Dakota, who are Anishinaabe, who are native folks to this land, who like when they come to visit me and come through town, they're like, dang man, like why do you guys have this racist statue? And I'm like, I don't know, we should talk about it. And I know that these things can be really like vulnerable touch points, and I think they're being used by, they're being used to like ignite like fights between us in the community, and I actually don't want it to be that way. Like I really hope that we could sit down and all try to hear each other out about like what this means to different people and why, and use that as an opportunity to like build bridges and get to know each other better. But I do think that there needs to be more thought and consideration about like the historical significance and the harm to like, I mean, there's the St. Croix Band of Ojibwe that is like not that far from here, and thinking about like how to be in good relation with as many people in our community as we can. And I think that there's like really great ways to like have pride in the area that we live in without having to use a symbol that's really hurtful to some of the people in our community. So I'm hoping that some bigger dialogues can come out of this, and that the statue can at least be put on pause until like everyone's voices are really able to be heard about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to come up and speak?
Hello, Carrie, Neil, Van, Brad, Bruce, and Devin. My name is Crystal Johnson. I'm a farmer in this community, and I've been a farmer for many years. I grew up in rural Minnesota in a town of 3,000 people, very much similar to the size of this town. And I grew up as one of the only people of color, one of maybe 6 of us at the time. When I was 9, the town I grew up in was called Long Prairie. For many years, since the 70s, the school's mascot, as well as the name of the school sports team, was the Long Prairie Indians. My great aunt is Native American Anishinaabe. We're not related by blood, but it is an important perspective that I try to keep in all of the things that I do. So when it came up very much in this situation, a similar discussion in 1992, about whether or not it was appropriate to change the name of the team and the mascot, which was very much a similar story, a caricature of a native indigenous person to this land with headdress that was also inappropriate for the region and for the culture of those people that were originally from that land. It was very much a discussion in the community and a place of tearing people apart. It was really hard, and it was a difficult change to make. Eventually, it did change, and we became the Long Prairie Thunder. which was great because our school song was then Thunderstruck by AC/DC, which I still love to this day. I say all of this to illustrate how important it is for me in small communities to understand that everybody's perspective is valuable. What makes small communities meaningful is that we listen to each other and we support each other in times of need, that we feel connected and we feel like we have a sense of belonging. My fears around this conversation in general are that those of us who are people of color will be ostracized for having a different perspective. And we'll go on to continue the rhetoric that happens all over this country of separation, alienation, oppression on both sides, who's right and who's wrong. I think the amazing thing about small towns is that we can offer the opportunity to show how we can work together in varying perspectives and support each other by understanding that if one person is hurt, we're all hurt. And that is what makes the blood of communities that are small and rural meaningful. My voice is shaking because I feel strongly about this topic. I want to make a home here, and my child's in 4K at Osceola Elementary. I want to be friends with people in this community, and I want to get to know you all better. Maybe one day I'll also be on the board.
Hey, absolutely.
So I do not support putting the sculpture up. And I have a similar reasoning as the person before me, Maddie Shaw. I think there just needs to be more listening. I've also heard a lot of perspectives already, and I do understand that people feel strongly about putting it back up. It has a sense of place and belonging for people. It gives people a sense of identity. They've known it for decades, and I can respect that. But I can also respect what it means for change to happen and when we learn new things. And I also heard in various conversations on the Facebook page for this, the concern that Indigenous peoples of this area haven't said anything. One of the questions I have is, have we offered them a place to speak? It's important in Indigenous communities to not bring things up unless they are put before you. So if a chief says that if there's a problem with something or a youth isn't doing something right, they're not going to say anything until the youth asks the question, what did I do wrong? So if we create a space for people to say what they want to say and use different practices to understand one another, I think we might see that there are a lot differing perspectives that come from everyone's heart all over this community. And perhaps maybe then we could come to a wise solution.
30 seconds.
Well, that's great because I'm pretty much done. Thank you so much, and I'm grateful to be a part of the Osceola community.
Thank you.
I'm Sue Rawlings. I am no longer a resident of Osceola. However, I have a business here. And I'm pretty passionate about having the Indian statue put back up. I grew up here, and, you know, the thing that comes to me is that we aren't against the Indians. We're not against the Black people. We're not against gay people. Oh, by the way, I'm gay. And I live in this community, and nobody judges me because I'm gay. I don't judge you because you're Indian. I don't judge you because you're white. I don't judge you because you're Scandinavian or whatever. I look at the Indian as a symbol of meeting, a place for us to meet. And this is where I would like to have people, I hear you. I hear you saying that you want to be able to talk about this and you want to be able to have everybody heard. Well, I think a lot of people have talked about this. And I think there's a lot of preconceived ideas of people that want the statue back. You think that it's against the Indians. I grew up as a chieftain I grew up as an Osceola chieftain. And I'm proud of that. And I'm proud of the heritage that is surrounding us. But I gotta tell you, this is a meeting place for people. They say, hey, meet at the Indian. It goes down to your Cascade Falls. When we shut down the Cascade Falls, we shut down business. People are looking for the Indian, just to take a picture with it. They're not looking at it saying, oh my gosh, this is a misrepresentation of this. That's not what we look at this as. It's part of our community. There's a lot of people that are very much for this. And I believe that we should put it back. I believe that it will help business. I'm not one to be open year round, but it does help business because it is a draw for people. It's not the Chief Osceola. It was never intended to be the Chief Osceola. It was intended to be a piece of art. People have misconstrued it. I know that there's been talk about putting a plaque up explaining how the Indian came to be and how it became one of our symbols in Osceola. You go downtown, you see the ice cream. You know, you see signs, you have all this historic stuff downtown. This is a historic piece of art. We really should keep it. So, thank you.
Thank you.
I apologize in advance for my child. Don't need to apologize. My name is Olivia. I live a couple streets down, and I moved here about a year ago. And I am in favor of putting the chief back. Obviously, there is the whole question of the oppression of the Native Americans, and I think that's a heck of a lot of weight to put on the statute, because this question is more about whether the statute in and of itself should just be in town, and whether that statute is offensive to Native Americans, not whether we as white people and colonizers have been oppressive to white people. I come from New York. I am a second-generation Italian. My grandparents came in off the boat and landed in Ellis Island. And New York has historically, at least for the past couple of hundred years, been associated with Italians. And every third or fourth building in New York City where I grew up has a great big statue of a very fat, mustachioed Italian chef holding a large pizza or a large bowl of pasta with a great big sandwich board saying, "Mangia la pizza." I could choose to be offended by that. I could choose to assume that all of my friends, when they hear that I am Italian, think that I too am a fat, mustachioed Italian person wearing a chef suit. Or I could just think that when people think of Italy, they think about our wonderful food, and they think about the fact that food is an important part of our culture, whether I personally cook myself or not. And I could choose to think that whether they know nothing else about Italy other than the fact that our food is good, at least it brings them joy. And at least it puts a reminder in their heads that whether it remains historic, whether it remains Italian or not, New York has a history of being an Italian immigrant city. And I think that's an important part of its history. That's all. I know I have time. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
I'm Don Stoker, 198 Ridge Road.
And Don?
I've lived here 60 plus years. My family has been here for 5 generations. And certain things make Osceola what it is. And this statue has become a piece of Osceola. And I don't think there's any other meaning other than it's part of Osceola. It doesn't mean that it's a mascot. It doesn't mean that it's an Indian or anything of the sort. It's a piece of Osceola. You can go on the internet and you put Osceola, Wisconsin in and look at the images, and it's surprising how many images show the falls and the bluff, and we have the beautiful statue on Main Street. People have been accustomed to it being a part of our town. And while things change and cultures change, been around a long time and there's a lot of things that are gone, and I've seen people wish that they were back. This is an opportunity to just put something back. The intent is to take it down and put it back because of a project going on. And there was never a debate or anything with it. And it's turned into being a real hot button issue. And I believe Sue said, you know, put a disclaimer. This isn't an official rendering or a mascot. This is just a piece of our community. If you so feel that it should be identified. But you can't put things back once they're gone. And I'm not gonna waste everybody's time about all the things that are gone. It used to be here, some good, some bad. But this is something that puts smiles on people's faces. And I travel quite a bit with antiques around the country. And surprisingly, people say, where are you from? Tell them, they look it up, oh, we like this, we like, it puts a smile on people's faces. And I don't think as a community, we need to get involved in changing history or respecting or not respecting. We have to keep a community, keep some of the values to make it a small community that it's been for a long time. And I would just encourage to just put it to bed and leave it alone. A lot of people went a long ways to get it so it can get put back up. And I hope everybody can, you know, move forward from it and everybody can just be happy in the end. So that's all I got to say.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jamie Burhow from Niedermeyer. I just wanted to remind everyone here why the statue is there. My grandma had a very huge love for this town. That's all it was. She loved the Osceola Chieftains. Doesn't have to do with race, color, what happened back in the day. She just loved this town. That's it, plain and simple. Thank you.
Ready?
Hi, Ally.
I have some handouts. Two different ones. I'm Holly Walsh, 405 Ridge Road.
And I would like to address the Indian statue as it is, as a mascot, because it's a stereotypical characterization of a Native American and is considered by many Native communities to be derogatory. The small town I grew up in also had an Indian mascot, but changed it in 1994 due to the request that schools and professional sports teams discontinue the use of Native mascots because of the harm that they cause. I want people to know that I understand the attachment that people can feel towards mascots that they have identified with for many years. Our community had that same mascot for 40, 50 years. So I acknowledge it can be hard to change. But my hope is that we all can come together and be open to another perspective and to listen and to consider the harm that these statues and mascots cause Native people. National Congress of American Indians is the oldest and largest and most representative national organization sharing the unified voice of hundreds of tribal nations representing millions of Native people. And that voice has been consistent and clear for decades. Unsanctioned sports mascots are symbols of disrespect that degrade, mock, and harm Native people, particularly Native youth. This organization has been leading Indian country's movement to eradicate offensive Indian mascots from sports and popular culture for the past 50 years. And they've been generating information, public interest, and public awareness about the many harms that they cause Native people. And through the last 20 years of research from 1999 to 2019, stereotypical Native images and Native mascots have been found to be have detrimental impacts on the health of American Indians and Alaska Natives. The negative impact can affect them directly because of discrimination, prejudice, implicit bias, and stereotyping, or through the social determinants of health, which are economic and social conditions that influence the health of people and their community, therefore likely increasing health disparities for American Indians and American Alaska Natives. And this research that has been conducted had organizations, proponents of keeping the statue often say this is a very small minority of people that are doing research and that are saying, no, these statues cause harm. But the research has been conducted by multiple areas of profession, the American Psychological Association, the American Sociological Association, the American Counseling Association, Society of Indian Psychologists, the National Education Association, the National Indian Educational Association. They all recommend the discontinuation of the use of Native-themed mascots. So I am asking the board to highly consider voting against replacing the mascot. Thank you.
Hello, good evening. Celeste Fairhouse, 599 280th Street. I've been farming and working in this area for the past 3 years. My people are from Tepehuanes and Mescalero Apache lands and also from Europe. I find this sculpture offensive, and that most of my friends of color also find it offensive. Indigenous people are not a mascot or a cartoon. They're people that have survived genocide and have also tended the earth before Columbus got here. Also, Happy Indigenous Peoples Day week. There needs to be respect for this. If anything goes up, it should be naming the original people of this land, the Dakota, the Anishinaabe, Ho-Chunk, St. Croix, Chippewa. I think that making it clear that there is a respect for the original people of this land is really important for how this town is perceived. And there is also continued to this day violence towards Indigenous people. Recently in New Mexico, an Indigenous man was shot defending women and children who were praying for a genocidal statue to not go back up of Wande Onate, who was shot by someone wearing a MAGA hat. I am really grateful to be working with the land as a farmer in this area and I mean, this place has a special place in my heart, and I don't want it to be a place that my friends who are Indigenous and people of color have fear to be in because there's a cartoon mascot that is not respecting as so many other things haven't respected the ancestry of Indigenous people. I implore you to not put this statue up. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Brad Meissen. I live on Summit Street, 703. I'm a longtime resident of Osceola, yet I'm here. I'm not going to preach for or against, even though I'm for putting up the statue. I brought a lot of people to this town to visit. They thoroughly enjoyed the town, which, not being a resident, kind of proud that they don't visit. And they migrate to that statue all the time. But like I said, I'm not going to preach, what you should do, what you shouldn't do. It's going to be up to the board. But this, I think, is important as you make your decision. You were elected by the people of Osceola. Keep their feelings in mind and listen to the people of Osceola. I know it's hard, but you got to keep the outside influences at bay. It's okay for data points, to say, well, this is what's happening here, there, and the other place. But keep in mind, you represent the people of Osceola, and just listen to them and figure out what the majority wants. Everybody's passionate either way with what they've got. There's for and against, and I get it. Passionate people in a village like this, it keeps us strong because there's different viewpoints and things like that. But again, listen to what the people have to say. If the majority says put the statue up there, I think that's what you need to do. It's okay to listen to the opposition. It's okay to understand what's going on, but it is a democracy here. We live in America and majority rules. It should be, but I'm not going to preach politics. All I'm saying is listen to the people, listen to the majority. What would make this town great, even better than what it is. But again, that statue does draw a lot of people, and just keep them in mind. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. David Ayala at 599 280th Street. I'm not from here. I moved here from Arizona. Before that, my family's from Mexico, and a lot of that indigeneity has been lost to time. But the only thing I would like to say, really, is that it seems it's important to have a statue there, to have something to congregate around. And I invite the community to potentially look at other imagery to display the pride of this town. It is a beautiful town, and I am incredibly proud and grateful to be a resident here. And yeah, just inviting the community to consider other imagery to have a place to congregate around and share with family and friends who will be here in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm Shannon Millard, 110 Belmont Street. I came here tonight and I had zero intentions of speaking about hearing how I am in favor of the chief. I raised 3 daughters here. I have 6 grandchildren here, and we all love this chief. And my heartfelt sympathies and sorrows go out to all of you people that are feeling like this is something that is offensive. The chief has been a part of this community, and it isn't taught, it isn't portrayed as cartoony. I know that that's maybe how you see it, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but in the schools, they teach chieftain pride. We're proud of our chief. We're proud of our town. And that chief was a part of that. To get rid of the chief, there's businesses in town. Almost every single business on Main Street has a sign that says chieftain pride. Not chieftain hate, not bigotry, not racism. This is a beloved member of our community. We just want to put back in this rightful spot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I am Jessica Turtle. I'm the founder of the Natural Heritage Art Center. I'm actually here as an artist, as a sculptor specifically, public artist. I think we can do better. I think that we can facilitate an RFQ process that can create an image that everyone can stand behind and support. I would be happy to volunteer my time and my expertise to make that RFQ process as easy as possible on the town. I think it's an opportunity for change in a way that 20 years from now, we could have a whole room full of people talking about how much they love that piece, but not divided into two. That's it. I think everybody said some pretty wonderful things.
Thank you.
I'm Anita Meyer by marriage. Seal was my mother-in-law. She is who commissioned Chief Osceola. I can tell you in Seal's personality, there was no malice, no racism, no hurtfulness in that woman, and she loved this community. She had Chief Osceola commissioned by a local artist, and the headdress was used from images that you can find on the internet of actual artifacts of that headdress. It's not Chief Osceola. It was never meant to be Chief Osceola. It's the same image that was on the school's, the person that had his letter jacket here. When I was in school, Mr. Vesperman was our principal. We were chieftain pride. We were, it was all about sportsmanship. It was all about representing your community. And that's what I feel Chief Osceola is. There are many things in this world that one person can find offensive. Our flag, the pride flag, the POW flag, veterans memorials. There are people that are going to find that offensive. But do we remove everything that one person finds offensive or 10 people find offensive? There was no intent for this to be an offensive, and nobody has ever said anything that I have heard derogatory towards the Native Americans and that statue. On Facebook, which is very popular, there have been Native Americans that had said on there that they think it's funny that white people are out there saying that this is offensive. They don't find it offensive, and they were local tribes. So you have to take everything with a grain of salt. We can't change everything in this world because 10 people find it offensive. I find many things offensive. I don't even tell people I find them offensive because somebody else may like it. That may be something they want. I just think that you need to think about all of that, and this is a standing point in this community. Where are we going to stop? When is it going to stop? When is it we going to say that Veterans Memorial that just went down there that 10 people find offensive, we have to remove it? Have to draw the line in the sand somewhere.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to come up to speak?
Brad, I'm just gonna clarify, am I speaking on the agenda at 6 a.m. or do I speak now?
We'll probably have you involved in the conversation during that agenda item.
All right.
You're welcome to speak now if you'd like as
I'll
well.
wait.
So.
I'll wait.
Peace and much ease. My name is Kimani. I gotta bend down a little bit, you know, over here stretching 6'5". Man, how can I say this? You know, I'm sitting here, I'm in the back here, and I'm just gaining perspective. Just over here, just listening. You know, I've been here in the community, probably been building since 2018. Been through this town multiple times, and everybody back here. And I think the things that it is that comes around for me, you know, is perspective. Trying to be over here, like really just understanding perspective, hearing viewpoints, listening to where everybody's coming from. But I think that one thing that just like crosses my mind is just, you know, it's like you taking from things and like discarding the rest. You know, not sometimes feeling like all the information isn't there. You know, I feel and hear, you know, lots of attachment. I'm hearing connection around what everybody's feeling within the community, how that feels and how that shows up. But I think like the depth historically, and what that like goes into, what that feels like. You know, there's a historical condensation that comes into play when you start thinking about totality. Totality is very effective, and it has damaged a lot of hearts, minds, bodies, souls. And it's not about sitting there just like staying stuck in that, but it's also gaining perspective and understanding like where everybody's coming from. And I think that is extremely important on like, what is the attachment? I'm trying to understand exactly, you know, I'm looking at aspects of families, generations in this room where things have been passed down negatively, positively, all kinds of ways and different perspectives. And I think it's important to be able to unravel all of those things, and understand, you know, exactly like why and for what reason is there so much attachment. You know, I'm hearing money value, what it brings to the town, how everybody's feeling about like what it's connected to. And I'm hearing certain things, but I'm also, you know, I feel like a little bit more depth is also needing to be understood as well in regards to like the totality of all of this. I don't think it can just be so surface like that, you know. And I'm not even gonna sit up here and talk about my blackness, but because that's all that I'm gonna just keep that in a whole different situation. But I'm gonna just stay right here with the indigenous aspect, because that's a lot of what it is that I feel, and I'm seeing what's going on. But at the same time, I think that there is need for conversation. I think that there is need for perspective. You just can't go over here and just like kick it up underneath there just because it's been a historical piece of history for y'all. And I understand that perspective, and I want to be able to have graciousness and like understand, and being somebody that's not, you know, I don't have 60 plus years being in this community or anything like that, but I have been through here, and I have been a part of coming through here and growing up and being a young Black boy, growing up and camping and being all up in here in Taylor Falls and all of that stuff. So there's a historical breakdown for me as well. And seeing that, you know, just like, it just brings wonder to me to just like wonder whether or not everybody is what are y'all connected to? I mean, okay, it's about what's going on here and how y'all feel, but the depth of what it is it's connected to. Because there's a lot of things that it is that I feel from my perspective that's connected to from historical traumas, the slavery, the genocide, all of that it is that comes with that. And I know that there's a lot of saying that y'all talking about where it's not about all of that, but you can't remove that. That can't be removed. Can't be removed. You can't mess with that. You can't even play with that. It's not a game. It's not a game.
30 seconds.
and to just sit here and feel as though, you know, because it's a connection to y'all and what everybody drives past and how they feel, I don't think that just deadens the conversation. Because there's a money value or something, you know, people are feeling it, it's always been a part. I think that there's a few other things that need to be added to that. And that's conversation and more respect.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Do you have time for one more?
Absolutely. I want every person in this room to speak if they wish,
I'm supposed to sign first.
just so that we can have a record of who was here in case we don't catch your name when you speak it.
My name is Sandra Hanson. I live over on Creekview. We're transplants of May 27th of '05. I pulled my kids out of Racine School District and I started researching, and Osceola was number one. I told my husband I found the town, we're moving. We had to write it down a few times to learn how to spell it. And all I knew when I got here was my house was gonna be by the water tower. I didn't know anybody. When I came to look at a house, the first person to come talk to me was Robin Foster. And she is one of the most amazing people that somebody could meet. And what I'm trying to say, I guess, is my connection with Osceola isn't as long as some of these people, but this is my town now. And I love going down that main street and seeing what has been there forever. Doesn't have anything to do with money, doesn't have anything to do with politics. It's just a symbol. My son made the first touchdown on that new field. Zach Hansen, he's a chieftain. He's proud to be a chieftain. I had 3 kids come through the school district here, and they're all chieftains. And that's just the way, this isn't a big city. I left a big city to come to a small town. If people want to have a big city, move. Go back to the big city. If you want to stay small town nice, stay small town nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Allison Williams. We have been here for almost 6 years, and we have a vacation rental here in town. And it's a beautiful historical home, which we dug into the history of the home and of the area because of such. And so we have dug into why Osceola is called Osceola. It is renamed. I understand that the chief is not a representation of Chief Osceola, but because of this, where we are at geography, with our geography, with the Lakota, we are then, the chieftains in honor of that. And so it all they intersect together, Chief Osceola, Osceola chieftains. And so how we look at that, we can point to Chief Osceola, and we can point to why our town is named Osceola. Is named Osceola because of the injustice that was done to Chief Osceola. And as an outcry, we stood up for those injustices, and we called our town Osceola to stand up against injustice. So it is, to me, it's to honor those who have gone before us, to honor Chief Osceola, to honor the Lakota, the Dakota. As far as mascots go, I don't know anyone who's ever chosen a mascot because they didn't like it. Mascots are meant to be fierce, something that you're proud of. I mean, if you think of the Vikings right across the border, right? The logo represents a people group. We all know that they don't run around with horns on their helmet. But I mean, I could be offended by that as my Scandinavian ancestors. But it's supposed to be fierce, right? The chieftains, they're fierce, something to be honored, something that we identify with. And with children being raised in the schools and being called chieftains, they see the chief, right? Like, yeah, that's part of me, right? That's part of our history and something that's placed there in place of to honor, not to make fun of. And with our business as Vacation Rental, we're able to give people recommendations coming to our town, what to see, where to go. They ask questions. They love our small town and the friendliness. And we have many books in our Vacation Rental on the history of Osceola, and that explain, and it's able, with the chief there, the statue there, we're able to have those conversations. And people's feelings a little different sometimes, but at least it starts a conversation. To remove it, there would be no conversation. There would be no room for deeper conversations. To remove the statue, there'd be no reason to have a plaque. And you know, that those are my personal feelings, but I also want to talk objectively and go back to what Mike Stein said. If it's lawful, if it was taken down unlawfully, or you know, kept from being put back up unlawfully, it does need to go back up. And then at a later date, we could have conversations if there wants to be a plaque added or to make him look more accurate, or however people, you know, want to have those conversations. But first and foremost, it needs to be objective, and we need to follow the law. But I think the overwhelming thought and feeling of the statute is that he is there as a to honor and not to degrade.
Hey guys, Jeff Wolf here, East Farmington resident. I lived in Osceola for probably 25 years now. So I'm the guy that repainted the chief here. Did a little repair because it was taken down because it was beyond repair. I said, I'll help you guys out because I thought it was a great, growing up in town, having kids here, taking pictures, the whole thing, like everybody said. It's just a heartfelt, it's being done out of love. It's been done out of community. This isn't about racism, cancel culture. I was speaking with the former superintendent of St. Croix Falls School and mentioned this going on. And he mentioned that, hey, you should reach out to, is it Comaroot? He used to run the superintendent of the school. Anyway, and I don't know the history of it. He said about 20 years ago, he said you should dig into it, which I did. I didn't think this was going to become a debate about more than just, is the statue fixed? Yeah, let's put it back up. Okay, that's why it was taken down. And about 20 years ago, and this, check my facts, fact checkers, I don't know. They came to Osceola during the cancel culture of every Native American statue in every high school, and primarily from out of town. They weren't from the locals, to take away the Indian chieftain name. And he reached out, the superintendent at the time reached out to the native local tribes and worked with them to understand if it was okay to keep the chieftain name and our culture with Chief Osceola. And it was deemed it would be okay as long as it's not done in a derogatory way. And it's not. They have logos. It's respectful, prideful, chieftain pride. That's what it's about. It's community, and that's what, you know, what are we going to change your name back to Leroy? I mean, come on. So another example, I worked for Polaris Industries 27 years, retired now, but working with when we acquired, I was on the acquisition team when Polaris bought Indian motorcycles. Indian motorcycles is older than Harley Davidson motorcycles by 2 years, 1901. So Indian motorcycles, why would Polaris spend, I'm not telling you the dollar amount, millions, tens of millions of dollars to buy a brand that wasn't selling motorcycles? Because of the name and the brand. Okay, this is in the middle of cancel culture 2011. They bought the brand, and with lawyer input and non-derogatory marketing, they said you can use these logos, like the Chieftain logos, certain logos, and don't go into all the other culture of tribes. Just stick to the basics. And we didn't allow any dealerships to go beyond those. And so it's not derogatory if you keep it on the righteous path. Okay? It's not, what are we going to just erase everything? So what I'm saying is it can be kept. The Chieftain logo can be kept. Chieftain pride can be kept. And now that we've fixed the Indian beyond repair, it's ready to go back in its rightful place for our town to enjoy with love and kindness. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to come up and speak?
My name is Carrie Grant, and I've been here for over almost 23 years now, I guess.
Hi, Carrie.
Thank you. I hesitate to speak. I'm not a great speaker, but I do think that part of what we see in our society right now, the division everywhere, is because we are first and foremost Americans. We're not Indian, we're not Black, we're not white, we're Americans. I'm Irish and German, a heritage. There are many insulting things that happen on St. Patrick's Day, the Irish. Do I take insult? No. I will celebrate many things in those heritages privately, but publicly, I'm not going to go running around saying I'm Irish or I'm German first and foremost. Though I'm proud of many of the things in that background, there's much I am also not proud of in those two heritages. So I guess that's all I have to say is that let's let go of I'm Black, I'm white, I'm Indian, I'm whatever the hell I am. I'm American. Woo!
Thank you.
Good evening, gentlemen. Nice to see you. My name is Mike Pappenfuss. I've been in the community since about, two different times, but the latest since 1999. I go by Pappy. People kind of know me around town. But anyway, a couple things. I'm originally from Alexandria. We grew up in St. Paul. Alexandria is a big community, and in Alex, in the center of town, they have a big Viking. And the town has been centered around that Viking for the last 75 years. They've moved it from time to time when the street is widened or moved, but it absolutely is the center of their community. I came here, I've been here 23 years here the second time, and India also is also the center of our community. I travel a lot. I don't work in the area here. I travel throughout the United States weekly, if not daily. And when people pass through western Wisconsin, they talk about a little town of Osceola and how nice it is and how warm it is and how cute it is. And they say a couple things that come up. They say, well, geez, Pappy, what happened? We stopped and we wanted to go down to the falls and the falls were locked off. We couldn't get down there. And I said, well, they're doing some construction. They're doing some reworking of the steps. But one thing we really like is every time we come through there, we stand and get a picture next to the Indian. And everybody recognizes what that Indian is for our town and what it means for our town. And it's the same relation that I use in the Viking up in Alexandria, which has been there for, I think, 75 years. We happened to be there yesterday for a funeral And what did my family do? The first thing we did is we went down and we all got our picture taken around the Viking. So it's a thing that's important. It is our values here in Osceola. It belongs where it is. It got taken down because they said it needed to be repaired. Mr. Wolf did a fine job of the repairs on it, and it's ready to go back into its place so we all can enjoy it. And it's the center of our town and our community. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike. Anybody else that would like to speak?
Jamie Mache, Box 913 in Osceola. So I came here to just listen tonight. I don't feel strongly one way or the other. I do think, you know, having children in the district, Chieftain pride all the way. Really appreciate that and would like to see that continue forward and that identity with the community and all of the pride. But I come here listening tonight and, you know, respect other perspectives, and I think really powerful that we are Americans. I think this is a really good opportunity to bring our community together. The last thing I want to see as a resident is divide, but keeping a strong community. So, you know, I do think, you know, I can see both sides of the story. From a government perspective, you know, if there's not any ordinances or policy in place that public art that prohibits it from going back currently, my opinion is it's been up for 25 plus years. I don't have the history. The only reason that is my understanding it was removed was during the Milk House demolition. And so I would just question how many times in 25 years has the village board been addressed with any issues or concerns regarding the statue over that period of time? Is it just now because it has been removed for construction that now it's been brought forward? I think those opinions and perspectives are valuable and part of our community that are important. So, you know, just my 2 cents on over 25 years, how frequent have we heard about it being a concern? Or I've always felt very prideful about the chieftain as well from my perspective. If it does go back by the Cascade Falls, I think I would like to still see community conversation and seeing if we can add some signage or something else to continue to further understand some of the history and how we can, you know, bridge that gap or work together as a community to continue that conversation so we can learn more and stay strong as a community. Thank you.
Thanks, Jamie. Anyone else that would like to speak?
I think the baby does all
Loud and clear.
Gentlemen, ladies, my name is Jim Morrison. I lived here about 35 years now.
Hey, Jim.
And I think the Indian there, that statue, it's been there in a place of honor. It brought people to the falls. It guided people to the falls. It's part of the community. We just got to put him back up in his place of honor and give him the respect that he deserves. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Okay, seeing then, we will move on. Our amended agenda has us going to the relocated topic from 6H to 4A, which is discussion and possible action on Airport Road. So I'd like to move on to that topic now.
Yeah, the topic was moved to address to table this action until the November meeting.
So I will entertain a motion to table that.
I'll second.
Motion by Neil and second by Bruce to table the Airport Road discussion until the November meeting. Is there any discussion on that motion?
I'll ask a quick question, even though I made a motion. Can you tell us are you collecting additional information?
Request from the VBROS to get more information.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. That's what I think.
All right, seeing none, we'll move to a vote. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Passes. Tabled until November. All right, item 5, reports, staff reports, library.
Good evening.
I am.
I'm Ann Miller. I'm the circulation manager and interim director. So we are, it's been a very busy and strange September for us at the library with both Shelby and Rebecca leaving us. We're very sad about that, but are grateful that the library board has started the search for a new director. And so hopefully that will happen soon. For September, our total items circulated was just over 4,000. And you might notice our new patrons in September is probably up a little more than what you would normally see. And that's because in September, we have the 6th graders come in and visit us. And so any 6th graders that don't currently have a library card, get a library card, get a tour of the library and get to check out books. So
Rite of
that's
passage,
exciting.
huh?
Yeah, it's a busy day. Let's just put it that
Yeah.
way.
Super.
In September, we received 152 new items. So we're continuing to get our LTC grant items, which are large print books and audiobooks. And just to give you a little perspective, in a normal month without the grant, we usually can order 2 or 3 of each of those items. With the grant, we're ordering probably 12 to 15. So it's a nice addition to our collection.
That's great.
In September, we had a couple of events and activities. We welcomed the author Sarah DeLuca and the musician Joe Longo. Sarah has recently written a book, Heavy Marching, the Civil War Letters of Luke Mosley of the 22nd Wisconsin. And then Joe accompanied her with Civil War era music on his clarinet. He's a professional musician. That was awesome.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and it was very well attended. We continue to go to Evergreen Senior Living with the book bike and are exploring options for winter delivery to them because they are so very appreciative of the work that we're doing with that. So
Nice.
we'll figure out a way to get over there with books for them. And with the departure of our 2 valued staff members, we're adjusting to that new normal in our scheduling. Fortunately, both Rebecca and Shelby had limited hours on the front desk, so that helps a little bit. We haven't had to adjust too much, but everyone's covering hours. Cora Perro has graciously stepped up and is doing story time on Tuesday mornings, and Don has started doing the craft activity after that. And then just so everyone knows, Mr. Licky is being well cared for by committee. So Jen Lehman, Marie Feltmos, and Cora are taking on the duties.
I know you were nervous about that.
Oh, no, I'm not nervous.
And then after a very dry summer, the rain that we very happily received, however, there was a leak in our windows along the terrace, and so we had water coming in to soak the carpet in the children's area. Notified Todd, and he right away contacted Indian Head Glass, and they came out and discovered that the weep holes were filled with dead bugs. So clean those out. So I'm guessing they'll probably have to be, maybe an annual or biannual event that it gets cleaned out so it doesn't flood in there. And then Todd also resealed around the drive-through box in the friend room. There was leakage in there too. So, yeah, that's kind of all I have. Do you have any questions for me?
That door's got to stay open.
I have none.
All right.
Thank you, Ann.
Thank you.
The volume?
No,
Oh, yeah. Devin, can you scroll the agenda, please?
Howdy, everybody.
Hi, Paul. Hi, Paul.
We had 9 runs for the fire department this month. 7 were in the village of Osceola, 2 were in the town of Farmington. Run breakdown was 1 alarm, 1 motor vehicle accident, 5 medical lift assists, and 2 grass fires. Our meeting for September consisted of extrication, training, and just a follow-up with the Wheels and Wings on the community fair. Upcoming training is EVOC training and SCBA training. We have been working with the Friends Osceola Fire and Rescue, Friends trying to upgrade all the headlights in the older trucks. So we got LED lights now in all our trucks, which really makes a huge difference compared to the old candle lights that were in there. So other than that, we're still waiting to hear on our DNR grant. So any questions?
Yeah, I just got one. What's any updates on the airboat and?
That's later in the agenda.
Oh, is it down there?
Jumping the gun.
Oh, I guess so. I was trying to.
What's the history on that 50/50 grant for DNR? Has that typically been something that you've been able to achieve?
We get it about every 2 years, 2 to 3 years, and it's two certain things. It's just
The foam.
Foam and well land gear and that we're going for 2 new chainsaws. Our chainsaw is really old, and so we want to get 2 of them and put them on the brush rigs.
Okay.
So if trees are on fire, like the other night we had to cut a tree completely up to go out. So.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks, Paul.
Good.
All right, building inspection.
There were no new structure permits. There were a few remodels, fences, those type of permits. There's been 67 permits issued for the year, to be full of $3.9 million. We're looking at hopefully getting a few more larger buildings permitted for the year. One of them here tonight for the site plan review.
Okay. And the one at 206 River Street was for what? It's listed as Osceola Hospital redevelopment.
Yeah, I noticed that. Oh, that was the raised permit. That was
The raised permit? Okay.
That was the raised permit
Got
that was
it.
granted to him early September.
Okay. All right, well, we can just move right from there to administration.
Edmonds, we've had a very busy month dealing with many developments, some other problems that have popped up in the community too. Tanya and Carrie have attended some training regarding clerk, treasurer, and the overall levy limit sheets too that we have to do. So it's been a very busy month, as you can see by the size of the agenda.
Thank you. All right, police. Ron?
Look at that, snuck out the back door.
No, it's
Walk around all of you.
tricky.
This is gonna be probably my briefest report yet. You have the information in front of you.
Yep.
A lot of time was spent last month, between Wheels and Wings prep, Wheels and Wings, and then there were some investigations that were going on. Got some officers sent to training as well. So it was a light month. But as I mentioned before, our community coffee events actually start in October, thanks to Caribou and Big Fresh Market. So that's the last 2 Fridays of every month from 8:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. So feel free to stop by for some good free coffee. This coffee, not the fluffy stuff, just black coffee with free lunch. So, yeah. Any questions on our report?
That's a week from Friday, right?
Yep.
And then the following.
Yep. That's correct.
Super.
No, that's it.
Okay, thanks, Ron.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ron.
All right, Public Works.
Evening, everyone.
Todd?
I too will try to keep this short. Very busy month as well. I'm still reeling from, well, not still, moving on to other special events. But we can make it through the festivities of September, as I sort of mentioned last month, as we button things up. But looking forward to the changing seasons in preparation for the snow season, we've inspected all snow removal equipment. We start that about September 1st, given the logistics and things worldwide in procuring absolutely anything. I have to order it now in order to have it shipped and installed and ready to go for the snow removal season. On top of that, updates equipment-wise, 2024 HV507 Universal Axle Single Patrol Snowplow Truck. I'm looking forward at this time to an end of November delivery. So
Don't tease us.
I'm not teasing. I'm not teasing you. We're the community. We look very much forward to both this and the loader, which is replacing our 27-year-old, our current 27-year-old loader. And sort of hope to piggyback with Ron again this year. Coffee with a cop, coffee with a snowplow driver. I hope that we can perhaps have an event for the community too, to kind of show off this equipment as well.
Yeah.
We're certainly proud of it and we're thankful for it. And we look forward to showing it to the community and how it's going to serve them. On top of that, streetlight maintenance repair in downtown residentials occurred in September. Again, multiple community events. We just kind of sort of move from one to the next. Whether it be, we play hand in every, 16 special events throughout the year. Public Works plays a role in absolutely every part of it, whether it be hanging a banner to providing many amenities. Whistler pavement ratings and inspections are due for 2023. It's a biannual, I can't call it a request, but a state requirement essentially.
Yeah.
We're going to go down every street. We're going to rate the current pavement and using the pager scale.
Is that the 1 through 5 scale that you guys use?
1 through 10.
1 through 10?
Use 1 through 10.
This will help with the CIP and for.
Right, right.
Yeah, so yeah, absolutely. We look forward to updating them, the improvements that have happened in the last year and a half, and also putting the rightful ratings on our current roads. Multiple staff attended Public Works Training Equipment Expo in St. Cloud. Guys are excited. It's the first time I stayed back and worked on stuff like this, but the rest of the department, 2 individuals got to go. So they got to see latest and greatest sort of equipment. On top of that, we're seeing some awesome training being offered by both UW-Madison and University of Minnesota, combined with both League of Minnesota and League of Wisconsin municipalities. Awesome training. I put some of the subjects down. It's such a varying range of things, but I wanted to emphasize the guys going to de-escalation techniques, chainsaw safety and maintenance, and then snowplow techniques, equipment operation for effective snow removal. The more effective and faster we can be and efficient, the better we can serve the community. On the park side, Public Works continues to focus on providing necessary input for the CIP plan and soon for the park comps plan. We very much look forward to that. As went out in the newsletter, I think the representative from MSA had a little something in there for the community.
Yep.
Understand that we'll be looking for their feedback, and we'll be hosting some events to talk about what we want to see in our current parks and future parks. More operations continue along with park cleanups, especially as we move into October and November. 13 parks take considerable attention. We also celebrated Arbor Day, as mentioned in last month's meeting on September 27th. We planted a Japanese lilac tree on the corner of 2nd and Chieftain. Again, diversifying our urban forestry canopy in downtown spaces or unique spaces. We're looking at some other species.
Yeah.
On top of that, building maintenance, as mentioned by the library, infiltration of rain in multiple spaces. This is actually the 3rd time since the building has been christened in the fall of 2018. So we're coming up on that 5-year deadline. Beginning to run out of some warranties on some items. However, this is the 3rd time that's been addressed. The water coming through windows. It's been sealant issues in the past, and warranties have always been honored. So we continue to look forward to working with every entity or subcontractor or contractor that was involved in this building to make sure that we get things fixed appropriately. On top of that, G&A began a roof repair on the Oakland Park building. As I mentioned, it's expected to be finished in the first week of October, and it is. So
cool.
Roof's there, it's on. As I mentioned in the past, the Braves organization, Chamber of Commerce, and we have 1 storage bay for ourselves. Public Works sort of keep what we call equipment on the north side, depending on the season. So we look forward to the painting of the building. So it's look forward to having it for another nearly 100 years, I hope. It's an excellent space for everyone to utilize. Any questions?
I'm assuming somebody reported the strobing streetlight over by Howey Dental to you.
That's correct. Yeah, and actually that fell after, unfortunately, all of the other streetlights that were repaired. But special work part, it took about, we were immediately notified by about 5 different individuals.
Yeah.
Parts on order. We were able to solve that problem in, I think, about 7 days, if I remember correctly. So.
I noticed it wasn't doing it last night, so.
Just out of total curiosity, the training on de-escalation techniques, is that just so that if staff are out and about doing their jobs and like something happens? I mean, I'm picturing like police officer style de-escalation training. Is that what that was?
That's correct. Yeah, absolutely. We sort of reached a point, and obviously I don't write the criteria for this. Studied or been through de-escalation training from the Department of Defense on down. However, it is recognized at this point by the League of Minnesota Cities and the University of Minnesota that these are tactics and training that need to be both discussed and essentially brought to light that this is where public works employees are at now. They need to be a part of this training, considering some of the things that have been met over the last 5 years. So
It's amazing how some people get really irritated at snowplow drivers.
Yeah.
I'm always thankful they showed up and cleared the road, but some people, that's not enough.
Yeah, you go tactical now when you're plowing snow.
we don't. We're not quite at that, but efficiency and things of that nature, and the ability to speak with residents in a more professional manner and de-escalate situations. It's a frustrating time of season, I think, as we all know, but to be able to have a discussion about the tactics and why we do things the way we do, it's important. So
It's not a perfect world either. Sometimes the trash cans get knocked over and, it happens. I mean,
1,000 pounds of snow coming off of it. 20.
I remember one day
35,000
last
pounds.
year, the trash got delayed by a snowstorm one day. So the days you guys would have come through and plowed and wouldn't have any trash cans there, they were all there and they were all full. And one got knocked over. I just went out and stuffed the stuff back in it and went on my way. I mean, I'd still rather have the road plowed.
We're not all hunting for them, I can assure the community that. Oh, God.
Super.
Any questions then? Thank you.
Thanks, Todd.
Thanks a lot.
All right, utilities.
Yeah, Rick can't be here. He's a father, of one today, so he has to take care of kids. This week, the main thing they're doing is taking care of hydrant flushing. So if people do have yellow water, it's important that you run it until it's clear again. There's nothing wrong with full water. Just make sure you're not washing light clothes or anything like that when the water is rusted. But it will pass in time. So if you experience any water like that, make sure you run until it's clear. Third quarter bills went out last week also, so people are receiving those. In that newsletter, like Todd mentioned, there is a little snippet about what the comp plan is going forward. We'd also like to point out that Ryan Keeney passed his receiving grade on his Wisconsin DNR phosphorus remover.
Oh, good.
And the other thing they're working on, we'll talk about later on the agenda.
Okay.
Which is the large tower that they did the robot inspection of? Is that the Bluff Tower or the one over by
the robot on.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Chamber of Commerce, Main Street. Okay, moving right along. To items 6, other business, discussion and possible action regarding Niedermeyer statue. Jackie, this is where you come up and talk with us now.
This is it, huh? Good evening.
Hello.
My name is Jackie Niedermeyer. I'm the niece of Seal Niedermeyer, who originally put the statue up. I want to just thank everybody for your opinion. I truly appreciate good opinions, the bad opinions, but thank you for showing up, letting your voice be heard. I agree that there needs to be open discussion. We Facebook Live for an hour with all of your conversation. I just looked.
There's already almost 60 comments. And I'm not gonna sugarcoat this. The town of Osceola is actually offended that you guys think that we are using this statute inappropriately. I don't know what word to say. What?
For monetary.
For monetary reasons, it's definitely not for monetary reasons.
Right.
That statute was never put there for monetary reasons. I know people outside of our community that remember our community by our chief. He is a landmark that people remember and appreciate. If this offends you, please move. Osceola has never mocked the chieftain's mascot. Any ideas for a new chieftain mascot name? One person said, this actually makes me sick. We do respect it. We have never disrespected it. It is not a cartoon. You absolutely don't know the history of Osceola. I could go on. I could read you all of these, but you'll go home and read them yourself. I'm not a speaker. I did write some stuff down. I guess the reason we are here is just a formality suggested by Devin Swanberg, the village administrator, and Deb Rose, the former village president, when we met with both of them last month. Well, here we are to discuss the reasons why the chief should be put back in its place where he has stood for many, many years. Devin made the comment when I had talked to him on the phone last month before we had our meeting, that the Indian was in bad shape, disrepair, as I think he put it. Well, our new good friend Jeff has him looking better than ever. He has posted videos of the process of all of his repairs. He is definitely ready to stand for another 25 years. And we are so grateful that Jeff found us on Facebook and offered his services to us. We can never repay him. Devin also made the comment about the statue not even being close to looking like the Chief Osceola, and suggested that we have a new one made to look like Chief Osceola, who did not wear a full headdress. My Aunt Seal had this statue made to replicate the former Osceola chieftain's mascot about 25 years ago. She had him standing in front of her shop that she owned on Main Street. He was never meant to be Chief Osceola, and no one has ever said he was Chief Osceola. I can show you old yearbooks and old letter jackets that have our old mascot on them in full headdress. And as I understand, the Osceola School District has a letter from the tribe that blessed us, gave us their blessings to use that as our mascot. That's all this statue was a replica of the Osceola chieftain's mascot. As the chief stood up here tonight, we noticed his patch on his arm. What is it? Chief. It's right there on his arm. Would you like to stand up and so we can see it, please?
There he is.
We do not disrespect the Indians. We do not disrespect the chief. We proudly, proudly display him in our town. The statue disappeared for about a year, approximately 16 to 17 years ago. The new owners of my aunt's shop, after they sold, took him home because they did not want to see anything happen to him and knew that he meant something to somebody. Who? She did not really know, but knew that there was somebody out there who would claim him sooner or later. My cousin and I were sitting in his garage having a couple beers one night. We got talking about the Indian and where it was. We then, at that time, started the hunt for the Indian chief. In the next couple of weeks, I made several phone calls to try to find this lady and where she lived. We finally found her, and my cousin went and picked the statue up that she so carefully stored, waiting for our family to find her. My cousin brought the statue back to Osceola and asked Abe Schmidt, who at the time worked for the village, if Osceola wanted him back on Main Street. Abe, without hesitation, said, "Yep, I will put him back on Main Street where he belongs." Abe did not have to go in front of any board or ask for anyone's permission. He just put them up in front of Cascade Falls where he has sat ever since. There have been hundreds, and I mean hundreds of pictures taken with that chief. Almost every time I drove by, there was a family taking pictures with him. I heard just the other day that there have been students wanting to take their senior pictures with him this year, and he's not there. I'm sure a couple of you, if not all of you, are aware of the Facebook group that I started called Bring Back the Chief. On there, I'm sure you'll also notice that there's about 98 to 99% positive support. I have had at least 4 businesses contact me wanting to put him in front of their business or inside of their business. I have had many, many people tell me to just go and put him back without even attending this meeting. What that means is the people of Osceola want him back. We want him back. The only thing holding it up right now is you guys. Let's settle this tonight and let's get him back where he belongs, where the community can enjoy him once again. Thank you for your time, and please, for the community, make the right decision tonight.
All right, and most of you will see on the monitors throughout the building, there's a memo that was provided late last week illustrating what Jackie's already talked about, which is that on the 13th of September, the village tendered the statue back to the Niedermeyer family. So that day, the Niedermeyer family loaded it up, took it with them, and the statue is currently no longer village property. So that information was shared as part of the materials that are published for this meeting. So at this point, the floor is open for the board members to enter discussion. So I'm willing to let anybody who has an interest to speak first, speak first. I have some of my own comments that I'll share at some point during the discussion.
Okay, so technically at this point, the statue is not village property.
That's correct.
Private property.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, but that comment is wrong. We were told that he's not going back up, so we took him so he wouldn't get thrown out in the trash. We were not told that it was no longer village property. We were told that he was not going back up until there was village approval, so we took him for safekeeping. We never took him to take him out of village hands.
Sorry, I'm just reading what's in front of us.
What happened at that meeting is we were talked to, and I gave them exact protocols to follow if they want the statue back up, which would be approval from the village board. They said, bring the statue over, we'll take it over through them. At no point did we ever threaten to throw it away. It was in storage the whole
I
time.
didn't say he was at the throw away.
I will remind the gallery that we are now in an actionable session of our meeting, and we are past the public comment portion of our meeting. And the only individual that was invited to speak during this particular discussion point was Jackie. So I will ask that the remainder of the gallery remain silent while we now do the part that we've been asked to do during this discussion point. Thank you.
Okay.
Continue, Devin,
Well,
please.
that's all I was saying. It's when we met, we had it in a storage barn where nothing was going to happen to it. They asked to take it back, and we gave it back to them.
Okay.
So is that considered a transfer of ownership?
They loaded it up on the trailer and they took it away.
Okay. But other than this memo,
That
which was
video
drafted by
is
you,
online. Yes.
there is no other mutual agreement that
No,
is
there's
in.
nothing signed.
Put
at
that
any
aside.
point.
All right.
There was nothing signed at
Okay.
any point explaining whose property is what.
Okay.
We also, for instance, in other property at large, such as the Veterans Memorial, we actually have a working agreement for property at large at that one.
Okay. And I think that that's probably the direction that needs to be headed with this particular item as well, especially if the village is now going to formally acknowledge the fact that it's installed somewhere on village land or on the state highway. So I think a clear declaration of ownership, although it may have been unclear to this point, I think that that's probably something that should be attended to.
Okay.
And
Set
that's
that
part of that
aside.
conversation too. But
Nonetheless.
setting that aside, yes.
Setting that aside, because it really doesn't impact how I feel about it, I do not want that statue back. And if that's an unpopular choice, then that's fine. I consider it disrespectful, a caricature, a mascot, whatever derogatory term you want to use. It's a statue made by a bunch of white people to represent a non-white person. And I think that's wrong.
That is the most ridiculous
Excuse me,
statement ever.
this is a discussion between board members.
Well, actually, since I'm on the
And Devin
agenda.
lied, he flat out
Lie.
Actually,
Lie.
Since I'm.
Quiet, please.
Actually, since I'm on the agenda, I will still speak. So I'll just stand here. You're a liar.
Well,
You are a liar. That is not how the meeting
I took Sean Laversky outside, told him the exact protocols to follow. The meeting
And
was
here
bring
we
to the
are.
agenda, and exactly
And
like
here
I
we
said.
are. But we did not take our Indian away from the village. You gave us really no choice but to take the Indian. You brought us in that room and said, there it is, it's yours for the taking. Did he not, Doug?
Yes, you did.
You guys didn't have to take it at that time either.
We didn't
It was-
ask to take it. You told us to take it.
Someone said they want to take it, they took it.
No.
That's not how it was, sir.
You're lying.
No, that is
You
not
have
how it
more
went.
people against you.
That is not how it went.
take a breath. Doug,
Sorry, we don't like liars.
let's take, well, wait a second. Let's take a breath and continue some dialogue here. Okay?
Okay.
Anyway, as I was saying, I consider it a racist statue. I think it's demeaning to the native indigenous. It represents someone who never lived here. And it's not representative of the indigenous tribes here. And I don't care how many non-indigenous people endorse it. If I hear one indigenous person endorse it, I would think differently. But I don't think we've seen any
The Osceola
tonight.
School District has a letter.
They're not
endorsement.
indigenous people either.
They have a letter from the Osceola tribe, correct, Ron? Seminole tribe.
Seminole tribe, the Creek actually
Yeah,
is
the
what
Creek tribe out of Florida.
Osceola was a member of, the Creek
Right.
Nation in Florida.
And Ron's picture on this patch is actually a Seminole.
Yeah, which
picture of
doesn't
Seminole.
look anything like that statue.
It don't matter. It's an Indian.
And therein lies the problem. It's not just an Indian.
Coming from a
Indians,
white guy.
Indians are distinct and separate nations, and they don't all look the same. All the
Neither
black
do us
people
white
don't look
people.
the same.
Neither do us white people.
I know that. That's all I'm saying. Is
And
this
that's
not
all I'm saying.
represented?
None of us white people look all alike.
Nonetheless, this is my opinion. I'm entitled to it. It's a free country last time I checked,
Noted. Next.
and I'm not in favor of putting it up.
Anybody else?
I'll go. Are you ready? You know, we've had a lot of darkness fall into this town. And it started way back, long before all of us were here. And Native Americans, they got a really bad rap. I wasn't there, but I read a lot about it. Sometimes other tribes took over other tribes and moved them. And then we came along and moved them. We've taken down countless statues, countless memorials, countless. Somebody was saying about the political correctness or the,
Cancel culture.
what is it?
Cancel culture.
And I'm just really not happy as I used to be anymore. Because everything I've done in this world is because I just happen to be the oppressor. And for once in my life, I can go downtown and I look at this. I knew Seal Leadmeyer, who worked on the ambulance together for years. She had a deep passion for the town. I was a member of the athletic teams. And I had people calling me a racist on the damn internet. I'm not racist. I believe in communication and passion of believing in something, but yet communicating. And I always thought that, yeah, he's not an accurate representation
Of what? What
of
was
the
he?
Native Americans. He is, I don't know which tribe, I would say he's a Native American. Okay? To me, he's a Native American. And they took a lot of suffering and a lot of pain. And I would think that that would want to spark some conversation. I would think that if I was a parent, it's not just a photo op, it's something you have to look at and say, Mom, Dad, why do they have this? Well, because haven't you been taught things in school? Haven't you been taught that there's a respect level from certain elements of horrific things that have happened in this society? But we're tearing them all down, so then that means it doesn't happen. I'm just one person. Now, everybody has said, oh, yeah, the emails, everything else. And it's like I just look at it and say, man, alive, I understand how people just give up and say, forget it. Because everything I do, I offend somebody. You can't even tell a joke anymore without being brought into court or nothing. Not a thing. I don't have anything else in my culture but what is here. And if a Native American is part of that culture besides the United States flag, and they look great together, that is my culture.
Amen.
That is something I really, really enjoy. And if there's bad things being said about this, then they need to be corrected. I want to see different tribes to come in. I want to see Native Americans come in and help get all this together. They have a unique opportunity, just like all of us. And sometimes it only happens once in a lifetime. One person said that they never, ever, ever complain. No Native American tribe complains until what? They don't say anything. It's like, we'll walk by certain things too. We turn our head and just keep walking ahead. But sometimes that's not very healthy. It sets you years behind. Because we can have the dialogue now to get it straight so our kids don't have to suffer anymore. We don't have to. You can wake up with a smile on your face and you actually, like we're talking again. Everybody wants to talk, but can't. Because it's offending everything we're doing.
Amen.
On the other hand, a Native American, to me, represents a lot of strength, endurance. Because we've heard a lot of things, and I respect those things a lot. Everybody says, "Well, I know a Native American there." Well, do you really know? Well, everybody has a black friend. You can go down and say, "Well, I got a black friend," but do you really know them? Well, I think it's a teachable moment for a lot of people in this town. I think it's a teachable time that we need to really come together. Now, are we able to put the statue up? I've heard we have absolutely no jurisdiction. My only thing is on a technical thing, okay, on a technical, just my opinion, is who's liable? I mean, we put them up, everybody's gonna hang on, they're gonna take pictures.
Oh, come on.
No, no, no,
Ben,
no,
Ben,
no,
that's, the Indian's
Is
been
it,
there for
are we
25,
inheriting?
the Indian's been there for 25 years, no one has gotten hurt yet.
You got it. But Jackie, I'm gonna tell you something. Guess what? Opportunity knocks, and you know what I'm talking about. Right? This has gone this is exploding. And like Paul said, nobody's talking, nobody complained, nobody did this, and now we're getting all this. So now, that's just my thing. Do we inherit it, or what do we do? How do we do this? I'm not sure. That's my only thing is, that's my thing. My personal opinion is, I don't have a problem with it because I feel it so deeply. And I really appreciate the person that was behind that and the friends and the family that pulled for that. And that's just my opinion. I think that's what all a part of what Osceola is. And if we can get more Native American input and create something bigger and better and more, it's awesome. That's all I got to say.
Well, I'll offer some comments. I think at a high level, I think I agree with kind of how you ended your remarks, that I think I see the passion for the statue in the community. I see the connection that many in the community have to it, and I think that that's a relevant fact as we think about whether or not the statue should go up. I also, and I'm newer to town. I don't have 60 years worth of family history here. I think that the way that this has transpired deserves a lot of reflection from everybody about the tenor of the conversation, about the fact that I think it's not unreasonable for some people to feel that perhaps they aren't welcome or their comments are not welcome. And I'm from a small town. I graduated from Unity. I had 65 kids in my class. I get small towns, I understand, and moved here because I love small towns because they're tight-knit places. And I think that tight-knit aspect of a community like this is its strength. And when we see it not utilized, because instead we decide to import, I think, political discourse that we see nationally, that's just downright lame. And I think we can be a hell of a lot better than that. And I think that every person in this room, including me and every person on the board, ought to spend time thinking about how we have all conducted ourselves during this episode. Because I think we all could probably find some areas wanting as far as how we've gotten to this point. And I feel as strongly about how we've gotten to this point, and maybe even more strongly about that, because I think that we all are here in one part or another because we feel that the country is starting to kind of lose its mind a little bit. And then we, lo and behold, imported the insanity right here. Why? Don't talk to people on Facebook. Talk to them in real life. If you're gonna sit there and smash at your keyboards, do it to somebody's face. And I think that we all need to be better because we can be. It is a choice. And I really didn't expect to get that excited about that point, but it's just, we can be better than this. And we are better than this. We don't need to look like Congress. We don't need to look like CNN.
Yeah.
I really believe that small towns are a place where democracy can work, where people can come together and understand each other. And I think that we need to live that out. That's my point on that. I think that there is an avenue for the statute to go back. I think that there is an avenue for the community to recognize that there is not unified opinion on the appropriateness of the statute. And that is a fact that just exists beyond whether or not you think that that's what the statute means. There are people who live here, who are welcomed here, who belong here, who think it is racist, who think it is a stereotypical caricature of Native Americans. And that's a reality that all thoughtful people, and I think people in this room can be thoughtful and calm and well-reasoned. That is a reality that needs to be dealt with. And I think that there is an avenue, as I've said, to put the statute back. I share concerns around the fact that it is public land that we're being asked to put this statue on. There are implications for taxpayers there. And that's also just a fact. Doesn't mean that those implications can't be managed. Doesn't mean that those concerns can't be dealt with. But to dismiss it out of hand is a disservice to a community that I hear loud and clear doesn't want higher taxes, doesn't want probably to take money that should be devoted to snowplows or whatever else we need to do to go and deal with some person who decides to accidentally trip or does trip over the thing. These things, I mean, I think sometimes you think it won't happen until it does, and it always does.
Yep.
I would like to just add to that comment that you just said about tripping. I go to work sometimes at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. I drive down Main Street when it's completely dead. There's not a car on Main Street. Do you know how much crap is on Main Street that people could trip over?
Oh, yeah.
There's flower pots. There's, the Looking Glass must have half of her store
And
outside.
I don't dispute that there are things on the sidewalks. The point that I'm making is that those sidewalks are in front of privately owned businesses,
And-
which is a distinction because it's not a public sidewalk. That's the distinction I'm making. I hear your point. I'm not disputing that, yeah, there's stuff on the sidewalk and you could trip on the curb and sue us for all we're worth, and that would be pretty stupid. But you could do it. It's a concern I have. And I am here in part because I consider stewardship of taxpayer dollars to be the paramount responsibility of this body. It is not statues. It's stewarding taxpayer dollars. And so if there's something that I think could potentially harm taxpayers, I'm going to be sensitive to that. And that's just my view on what I'm here for. But I appreciate that. And that detail. And so I think, just to summarize, I hope we can all learn from this and be better. And I also think that there's an avenue to put the statute back up. I have some thoughts about what those avenues might look like. I think there are a couple, but I'll kind of leave it there and let the discussion continue.
Okay, then move.
I have some points. Anybody who knows me personally knows that
I was gonna say, Brad, I expected nothing less from you.
given an opportunity to speak, I will fill time. So I'll try to be brief. And Jackie, I will ask that if you have additional points to add, that you can wait till I'm done, and then we'll enter a conversation afterwards. But so the discussion regarding the memo that was issued with regard to ownership is relevant. And even if the village doesn't currently own the statue, which I'm now kind of getting the feeling that the assertion that the village no longer owns it is sort of incorrect.
Back to my comment originally, like I said,
Yeah.
the process.
Wait a minute, if I
No,
can't.
I know,
interrupt-
that's, I know,
No,
briefly.
Back to the comment, I told them the protocols to go through, that I said,
Yeah.
I cannot make that decision
Okay,
myself.
okay.
I knew that there was way too much at play here,
Right,
just
right.
that I can make myself, and that's why you guys are
Right.
discussing it tonight, because I don't think you'd be very happy if I made the decision myself. yes or no.
Exactly. Yeah. And so where I'm going with that is that there will not be any village action taken regarding this statue if the village doesn't own it. Okay. It needs to be village property to be put on village land. We wouldn't put someone's tricycle installed in a park for people to play with if it wasn't the village's tricycle, because we've got an insurance policy to worry about. We've got other implications regarding liability and other things that are just way too paramount. So at some point during the process of discussion of any kind of possibility of this thing being brought back onto village property, it will become formally village property. And that might need to be some sort of a piece of paper that states, I am donating this piece of artwork to the village. Okay, we're done. And then if it ever needs to change ownership again in the future, it can, but at least then we know who owns it. So at some point, the village will need to own this in order for this whole conversation to mean anything. I had one small point about snow plowing, and I want to invite Todd to come up and talk a little bit. Tell me about your experience working around this thing for 25 years.
Yeah, like all things, obstruction permits, the legalities of sidewalk clearance. We worked around a lot of items from decorative flower pots to signage and things of that nature. So, yeah, I mean, and I think if we all can go back to last month when we have handed the sidewalks back over to the business owners.
Right.
These are public sidewalks. However, our village code states that any building, I can't do 186 right off the top of my head.
Right.
However, the challenges of weaving up and down Main Street in general and the very liability of our machinery going up and down is another, a very important reason why the sidewalks are being handed back sort of over so that everyone was one on the same playing field. But if we scrape a building, if we knock over someone's railing, these are all private things.
Yeah.
We are responsible for that damage and to the village.
Well, the footing real estate here is village property. So that's why I'm asking you.
Yes.
Is it a hindrance for you in its current spot? Or is it something you can work around?
Like many of the other obstacles, we can work around it. Absolutely.
There was some brief discussion brought up, I think at some point in, I don't even remember where, about whether or not moving it to the platform at the top of the fall stairs would be an option. It would necessitate moving the bracket that's welded to the railing, but it would, if it were in the square platform itself as opposed to on the highway sidewalk. I don't know if that's even worth consideration. Is it necessary to have that conversation with you, or does it not really matter? Can you just go around it like you go around the bench that's currently next to where it would sit now?
I think it would certainly be a topic for discussion of its placement.
Okay.
If when it does go back. No, absolutely.
All right. But just by the nature of your response, I'm getting that it's not like I really don't want to plow around this thing anymore.
I know. We
Okay.
deal with,
all right.
we deal with hundreds of.
And it's not that big of a concern then for me either. All right. So given assumptive ownership transfer, this is where things get dicey. All right. The village will need to own this piece of artwork in order for it to take action on the destination of this piece of artwork. Given assumptive ownership transfer, the family that acknowledges the transfer of ownership would also acknowledge that rights and claims on the statue cease at that point. It now is village property, and it will be treated as a piece of village property, a bench, a tree, sidewalk, anything. Okay, that's important, and it's a distinction that needs to be made because I don't want to get to a point in the future where all of a sudden someone may come to the village and say, hey, you should village property at that point. Concurrent conversation is also happening at the village level on the topic of partnership with local indigenous tribes on a collaboration for an alternative piece of artwork which would better represent the spirit of what we're trying to achieve. Unfortunately, we move at the speed of government. We don't move at the speed of social media. We don't move at the speed of the court of public opinion. All right. This is going to be an ongoing, perpetual conversation. And if I learned anything tonight, anything in the more than an hour of public input, which I would love to see that much public input at every single meeting we have. Please come to our budget work sessions. Please come to everything we do.
They're very fun.
It's so much easier to conduct village business when we understand the heartbeat of what's going on in the village. Trust me. Anyway, there is a conversation that is in process right now with many of the local indigenous tribes, and we've had nothing but enthusiastic and warm reception from these people in our reaching out to them to say, hey, we want to collaborate with you on something. We want to look at an opportunity to better represent what we're trying to achieve here for this community that's centered around what we believe to be a centerpiece of our town, and it's something that people can identify with. And these people really want to work with us. Like I was actually surprised at some of the response that we received from some of these representatives of the local Indigenous people. So, and that's fantastic. And that conversation needs to continue, and it will continue. Regardless of what we do here tonight, that conversation is going to continue. And we will continue to move forward on, like Neil said, being better, listening, collaborating. Unsanctioned actions. All right, this is an important piece, and I talked around about this morning. Unsanctioned actions affecting village property, which I'm led to believe that this is currently village property because of what we just talked about, will be treated as unlawful and may result in property being impounded, and the conversation with village and partnership and collaboration with the village at that point will cease. We'll be done talking about this conversation if unsanctioned activity happens outside of what we discussed tonight. And I don't think I need to go into too much more detail on that, but I mean, like I said, we've talked, Ron and I, and we just want to make sure that everybody is collaborating. We don't want people acting outside of the conversation and taking matters into their own hands. It doesn't work to foster a collaboration and keep the dialogue moving forward in a positive light. So the Cascade Falls sign, again, similar to what Mike's distinction was regarding Village Code 135.5B5 and maintaining the integrity of something, not substantially changing it. That's what the whole point of that sign refurbishment was. The sign represents a depiction of the falls, and it identifies Cascade Falls. It's not any bigger than the other one was. It represents a similar aspect of what it was. It was simply made weather resistant because the old one was wood and it was falling apart. So the new one is made out of metal, and it's protected with UV inks, and it was simply just making something withstand the elements and replacing it, similar to what Mr. Wolf did with this piece of artwork. It was in disrepair. No one could disregard that. I watched the videos. I saw in person what this thing looked like before it was removed. And it was a smart choice to remove it before demolition happened, because I'm pretty sure that something bad probably would have happened to it. There was quite a bit of heavy machinery moving around during that demolition, and it was really close to the platform, and it needed to be fixed. And we didn't have the wherewithal, resources, or money. And honestly, it would have been a careless use of taxpayer dollars to spend on something like that. I think it was a great thing to see the community come forward and rally around doing something for that. So that was fantastic. So my own considerations, just like a bench, a tree, a sidewalk, we removed some things to do a village project. We're done with the village project. So as far as I'm concerned, the things that we removed can just go back. All right. The original condition was unfit for reinstallation. That's been resolved. But I would like to formulate, and this bears more discussion, and it will probably happen outside of this meeting and continue forward. I want to formulate an Osceola Heritage Committee, which will continue to foster this conversation with community involvement in beautifying and restoring our public presence for tourists. I would like to see members of the community at large present in this committee. I don't want it to be just representative of elected bodies or employees of the village. I want community members. I want people from the area. I want people who matter and who have valid conversation to bring to the table, to be a part of this conversation formally as we proceed forward, because I think that it's important that we continue moving this process forward. Yeah. So I want to see action taken during this conversation to establish that and get it moving. And if it's simply something as to a motion to set up a committee that will be determined at our next meeting, whatever, something like that. The only motion that I will support tonight is one that presumes ownership transfers to the village upon installation, and it will require drafting a document to acknowledge transfer of ownership as a donation to the village. And where we move from that point, that's for us to determine. But I do really want to acknowledge everybody that spoke tonight. I am humbled by the responsibility that's placed upon this body. I didn't want this conversation to rise to the level of the board. I said it early on. I said this should not be something that would ever rise to the level of having to be discussed in a board meeting. We've got what, a $7-8 million budget that we're currently working on right now that we need to balance for next year. We've got an opening on the board that needs to be discussed. We've got like a major road reconstruction project that we need to discuss later tonight. These are big topics that affect taxpayer dollars and decisions being made in the village. And we've spent almost 2 hours talking about one topic. It's obviously important to the community, and I'm humbled by the responsibility that's presented there. And I want to honor that responsibility by continuing that conversation. So that's where I'm at. There's really only 2 motions, I think, regarding the actual piece of artwork itself that could be made. There could be a motion to approve reinstallation, or there could be a motion to deny reinstallation. That's pretty much the only 2 options I think that we could do. I mean, other than the obvious things like tabling it and whatever, but honestly, I really don't want that to be the case. I'd rather just get this done since it's here and we're discussing it, and all of these people have come to share their opinions.
What would be the upshot of the committee to study things going forward? That won't impact that choice of put it up or not put it up?
That remains to be seen.
Okay.
You know, if the artwork is put back on Main Street, and at some point we realize something as a vision for this community that is acceptable to most and is a better representation of us being better people, then we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. And most likely, just like we just did a few weeks ago, we're going to offer this piece of artwork back to who it used to belong to before it was the villages. Same thing we just did. We just, you know what, and we want people to be involved in creating something.
Okay.
And if we have to offer that back to them because we have something else that we're going to do, great. But again, that remains to be seen. That's a lot of work that's got to happen between now and then. So does that answer your question?
Yep.
Okay. You had a comment that you maybe wanted to make?
I'm gonna save my comments until you guys actually
Okay.
decide what's gonna happen.
Okay.
I am one avenue that's been pinging around my head. I believe somebody mentioned that there were local businesses downtown who were interested in potentially hosting this.
That's one of my questions. We have 4 businesses that have contacted me, and I'm sure there's more that were willing to put it in front of their place. One being P-Wise, right next to the Cascade Falls. If we put it in front of there, do they just have to apply for a permit to have it in front of their business, an obstruction permit, or what?
I don't know enough to answer that. I'm sorry.
You've read my mind.
Yeah, and I like we said, the village wants it, the town people want it. It's gonna go somewhere. They want the old Indian. They don't want a new Indian. They want the old Indian back. If we could put it in front of P-Wise, I'd be more than happy with that.
So it seems to me that I think the idea that if it's going to go on village property, we need to be in charge of it because it's on our property. I think then doing that means that you are putting the statue and its placement, its continued placement down the road up to the village. And I think that if P-Wise wanted to host it, I'm using P-Wise as an example, but if some other business wanted to host it.
The only reason I would like it in front of P-Wise is because it's right next to the Cascade
It's
Falls.
close
where
to the
everybody's
other
used to
spot.
seeing
Well,
it.
I think it's a difference of 20 feet, right? Like
Right.
it's that. I think that basically what I'm saying is I think if you are asking us to take ownership of this, in some way you're giving up some level of control over it.
That's
and
right.
I think that that's a dynamic that you all need to consider. And I also think, though, that if P-Wise wants to host it, again, insert any business name here. As far as I'm concerned, I have poured over. It's highlighted and marked up. I have read the HPC ordinances. I have read the ordinance concerning placing things on sidewalks. As far as I'm concerned, if P-Wise could put that thing up and it could comply with the need to make sure the sidewalk is clear and they receive the appropriate conditional obstruction permit or whatever it's called, that thing could go up as soon as that permit is done. And it would be placed in front of P-Wise. P-Wise and you would be responsible for the terms of its placement. You would be responsible for maintaining it. And it would just simply be housed in front of P-Wise. And the village would have no involvement in it beyond making sure that you're not obstructing the sidewalk,
Okay.
which is what we do for
Bicycles,
anything
tables.
that's placed on the sidewalk. And I
Yeah.
think I like, in some ways, this solution because I think it respects a couple of things. One, I think it respects taxpayers because to the point about who's going to be in charge of it, what financial implications are there if we own it, that responsibility for maintaining it remains with you because you own it.
Okay, so
And I'll just have a couple more points. And I also think that as far as I'm concerned, businesses I view art as expression. Expression is protected by the First Amendment. And if a business wants to put something up in front of their business, as long as it complies with sidewalk rules, you have a First Amendment right to do so. And it is not something that government can interfere with. And then that decision is up to you and up to PWise or to whoever wants to host it. And if people don't like that PWise is hosting it, they won't eat there. If people like that PWise is hosting it, they'll eat there. It takes this entire dispute and I think kind of democratizes the whole thing and lets people make free decisions about where they'd like the art to go and whether or not they're comfortable with it hosted where it is.
the reason we're here tonight is to put it back in its original spot. So let's entertain that idea first.
Well, I think that I've entertained the idea and I've expressed my anxieties about it, which is I fear what it could cost us now or down the road. I think it means that you need to give ownership to the village, which means that
The thing of it is we will give ownership to the village with a clause that says when you guys are done with it, it comes back to the Niedermeyers.
That's not unreasonable.
I don't think it's unreasonable at all.
I really wouldn't want to deal with the public outcry if we didn't do that. I mean, honestly, it's the
Yeah.
reasonable thing to do. So,
So ownership is yours, sign the
So the-
papers.
to Neil's
Can I
point,
just ask a question though? Are you opposed to putting it in front of PWise?
I
We'll
want,
have to debate.
I
that.
am-
talk about
Yeah, we'd have to talk about that.
we'd have to talk about that, but I'm here for the people of Osceola, the town of Osceola. I've heard, believe me, I don't know how many emails, how many messages I've answered in the last month. I'm basically right up to here with it. I'm hungry, I need a beer. Let's decide what we're gonna do. We will transfer ownership to the village to put it back in its original spot. If you go down there, his footprints
can
are
put
in the
conditions on a
cement where it's been. We want it back in the
We're
original
still
spot. We will
endorsing.
transfer ownership to
I'd
you
rather
guys,
have
but
it
we
in
want
front
it
of
back
P-Wise,
when you
to be
guys are
honest
done
with
with it.
what's that?
I'd rather have it in
In
front of
another
P-Wise
25 years.
than have it private.
Todd have something?
Sorry, I just,
Yeah.
for information purposes only, I want to make sure that it is known that all sidewalks are public space and maintained and operated by the village of Osceola within our 4 square miles. It's public property, up and down. Our village code is only what hands over the maintenance in the wintertime, 186-14, to the owners. Otherwise, that's all public space. And our current permit for obstruction does have 10 short rules, but none of them are sort of on 24-hour or long-term basis. They must be applied for annually, and they're only can be in those places during business hours. They're open.
So I want to just interrogate, if I'll keep you up for just a moment.
Sure, I just,
So if someone, on the question of, I think we're asking about liability, I think that's an issue that we're all kind of curious about on the board.
Yep.
If someone trips over the benches that are in front of PWise, whose fault is it?
Village of Osceola.
It could come back to us.
Yes.
That was my question.
That's why obstruction permits in their nature all go in front for approval, first to HPC, I believe, and then to the board.
Yep.
I personally think sending it back to the Niedermeyer family for discussion on private business installation is going to open more cans of worms with regard to other not litigation, but other codes and hoops to jump through. It's just more things that are just going to be a pain in the ass, to be honest with you. A lot. And I would rather just put this issue to bed with either saying put it where it was or don't put it where it was. My only, like I said, the thing is that if we vote to put it where it was, we own it. And the conversation continues. And at some point, to be better people, we're going to come up with an alternative option. And then it's going to go away. And that's where we're headed. I mean, I don't know how long that may take. It could be years before that finally happens. But that's the conversation that I want to have. I hear these people loud and clear. We as people need to be better, and we need to continue that conversation. And that's the avenue that I'm thinking of. And that's it. That's all I got. So,
And I'll just chime in to say that I think that this has been a good discussion. I appreciate that information, Todd. I think it's very helpful to know the realities of it. I'm comfortable with that kind of approach that you just laid out. I think that that's a reasonable way to proceed.
Bruce?
If it's representing our town, personally, I still have reservations.
Okay.
But that's a personal opinion.
Right.
I have to go with, this is a democracy and we're elected to do things for the town. So.
Dan?
Yeah, I'm all for taking ownership as a municipality. And when and if the time comes between any of the Native American tribes that are going to be involved in this feature, and if we do have to, we'll return it to the Native American family.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, some preliminary work that would be done ahead of time then. I'm going to put a motion on the floor. I move that the village create an Osceola Heritage Committee to continue the conversation around supporting community involvement in beautifying and restoring our public presence for tourists.
Okay, I'll second that.
Okay. So there's a motion made by Brad and a second by Bruce to formulate an Osceola Heritage Committee. Any discussion on that motion?
Are we gonna think about membership and things like that?
That'll be discussed in
the
November.
next meeting?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I hope to see many of you back.
Yeah.
Discussion.
We'd love to see it.
Okay. Those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed say no. All right. Motion carries. All right. That being said, now that we have actual board action that this conversation is in perpetuity going to continue, I move that the village authorize reinstallation of the statue on the condition that we take ownership and that the statue conversation continues in the Osceola Heritage Committee.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Brad and a second by Van to authorize reinstallation on the conditions that the statue become ownership of the village and that the conversation continue in the Osceola Heritage Committee.
Are we gonna clarify this in writing? I assume?
I'm gonna have to draft something.
You will, yep.
Okay, so there'll be some opportunity there. Okay.
Yep.
So there's still gonna have to be approval of the MOU
Yes.
and agreement.
Correct.
Before it goes up. just so
Correct.
we're clear.
Correct.
Because you would want to make sure that agreement's signed and voted upon before you did anything.
Correct.
That's my discussion on the motion.
Any other discussion on the motion?
Nope.
Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. I'd like to request a roll call. Neil?
Aye.
Van?
Aye.
Myself is an aye. Bruce?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. All right, let's move on.
Can we take a short break, about 5 minutes?
Sir, I would just like to say thank you very much. You've heard our voices. Thank you. But can we get something signed tonight? Because the Indian's downtown.
Talk to Devin.
I can't draft something tonight.
Pencils work just fine.
Yep.
He's gonna go.
You can. Let's get it done
You
tonight.
can. What's that? Doesn't have to. I wouldn't think it. It's 4 bolts. It wouldn't have to be.
You'd want this looked at by the village attorney for sure.
No, come on. Jesus.
Get off your chair. Does anyone remember the whole thing about being better?
Yeah, but when you say
about-
something that ridiculous,
Well,
It
you know
doesn't-
what
the
though?
Niedermeyers are not gonna sue you for anything, trust me.
It's not you.
You can include the hold harmless in your statement that you present tonight. I will sign a statement, transfer of ownership with a hold harmless clause that you sign and I sign.
And we can go downtown for lunch.
And if the attorney tells us that something different should have happened, you'd be the first one that I'll call.
Thank you, sir.
It's not gonna be installed tonight.
I'm not calling him tonight. I'll call him tomorrow. We're gonna take a 5-minute break.
We have to take a 5-minute break.
Don't let Jackie leave.
Not just because you go to military.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I'm a Niedermeyer.
Okay, it's very nice to meet you. Thank you. I'm new to town, so there's a lot of faces that know me, but thank you for coming and sharing.
That was one of the best comment sessions I've heard in this meeting ever. And I acknowledge your honesty. Thank you. Brother, you truly did impact. Yeah, you're welcome.
Pen and paper.
We need a blank piece of paper. Yeah, literally, we can tear one out. This is already, like I said to Devin, this is already a circus that I didn't want to be in front of the board anyway. So why not continue the circus and we'll have this on a piece of paper. Something to the effect of, I, Jackie, as a representative of the Niedermeyer family, tender ownership of that statue. I hold the village to no harm in its said ownership. And then, like I said, I'll have Devin sign it, I'll sign it, and if the village attorney tells us that it needs to look different, he's gonna rewrite it and make you sign a different one anyway.
Totally fine. That'll work.
And I fully expect a member of your family to be present on this committee that we're forming.
I don't have to live in this village.
No?
Oh, yeah.
Do you like this? Do you like this community?
I love this community.
Then you have a vested interest in it. That's what I'm looking for. No, I'm not even going to prevent this from happening. But did you see the trailer on Main Street? It's already been there. It's been parked there since 4 o'clock Saturday. So it's 4 bolts. It's literally 4 bolts. Like it's the brackets on the back of the headrests are 4 bolts. This thing will be installed in 5 minutes.
So it's going up like as soon as it's assigned.
They're already over there right now.
I'm sure they're waiting for Jackie to say go. So.
Okay, sure. Okay.
Who are you?
I'm Matt.
I so wanted to see you. And I was really hoping there was going to be light out so you could come down and take our picture of us and put it up. But they don't put it up right now. If you want to go down and
It's my first one. My first, yeah, I commended him. Critical thinking.
Oh, okay.
Meeting is the thing.
Yeah, that's, I'll send it to you.
Sure, yeah, that'll work.
I said, I, Jackie Newman, am transferring ownership of the chief statue to the village. In the event that the statue is removed, it will be returned to the Niedermeyer family.
Okay, and then you need to hold harmless as well. I hold the village harmless against any claims regarding said statue.
Harmless?
It's basically a standard. It's language that you can't sue us
I hold the village harmless.
against any claims regarding said statue. And like I said, Paul is going to rewrite this 6 ways from Sunday. But this will allow you to do what you're doing downtown tonight. And if Todd is still in the room, I might tell him to drive down.
I hold the village harmless against any claims against.
I hold the village harmless against any claims against the village regarding said statute.
Thank you for everything. Thank you. And I'm glad nothing more might be.
My name?
Yes. Printed and signed with a date.
What's the name?
Today is the 10th, 10/10/2023.
Isn't this particular meeting being live streamed right now?
Still being streamed.
And so it'll be recorded, right?
Yeah, it'll be available in all the village live streams. It's still going.
Okay, good. We'll see if I end up going home a little early. My wife is putting down our child by herself, and that can be interesting.
Do you have a copier that we can take a copy of this?
Oh boy.
All right, thanks, Jackie. I gotta get this one.
Corey. Always be like, oh, he's getting on the hallways and giving these little faces like, really, where is that? And I know about nine people, and so she knows his mommy, and it's another good time to see you. Thank you, Brad. I really appreciate it. I bet you if I was watching the football.
The
game,
entire
you'd be like,
village
yeah,
has
they're all
opened
right.
a huge can of worms with this, and there's going to be a lot of work to do now. So,
Look at that, you don't even have to arrest me.
because
today.
this is
That's something.
this is a very big conversation.
Oh, it's cool.
I have lots of
I didn't really want to go to jail tonight, but I was gonna risk it. You did very well, your first night as official
What?
president.
I'm appointed to the remainder of the term, which is April of 25. So, and at that point, I grew up in Clear Lake, and I moved here in 03, settled with my new wife, and started our family. So we've lived here 20 years now. We just celebrated I work for Chisago County, actually, in the government center. Yeah, I do payroll. I know. I do payroll for them, though. It's HR stuff. So.
I heard you were kind of trying to get some information last night out of Scott.
No, Scott was providing me information.
No,
I was not
that's
asking for anything.
That's not how it works.
So this is what I did. This is what I did before tonight.
Thank you for your perspectives to be heard. Appreciate you.
Thank you for speaking. Thank you.
Thank you for letting the voices be told.
And now the conversation continues, which is fantastic.
And that's all. And that's
Thank
all,
you.
That's all we're
I
talking
look forward to
about.
more conversations.
Yes.
I think tonight was excellent.
I think tonight was cathartic.
It was great. It was needed, and it's exciting that folks are so involved. So y'all have a great night.
Yep.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, we got to get going here with this. This is going to be all night otherwise.
Todd, up to you whether you want to go observe this circus when it's happening. I'm sure it's happening right now. So I just spoke with him.
I like Neil's comment. We should be better.
All of the administrators.
All right, let's get back to this. Otherwise, we'll be here till 11.
Yeah, you don't want that.
What's for dinner?
I had,
The rest of this should go pretty
My dinner at 1
quickly.
o'clock,
Would think so.
My lunch didn't fill me up, so.
Thanks for that thing on the committee, because that really made it easier for me to go along with it. Because that's how you ultimately.
There was no way I was going to do it without it.
Good
No
job.
way. I need to respect Deb. I need to respect Deb.
Yeah, exactly.
I sincerely hope I can get her involved, but we'll see.
So much quieter. No one wanted to know about the site plan approval? What?
Because we
12
didn't.
new units, people.
Because we didn't say it was 99 units.
Yeah, right.
We didn't say mine.
There's a distinction there between 12 units and 99 that apparently riles everybody up. All right, we're gonna get back into it.
Okay.
All right, that 5-minute break lasted much longer than 5 minutes, but here we are. Back into session as of 8:37. Okay. All right. Other business discussion and possible action regarding site plan approval for Wurzer Brothers PID 165 582 0200.
Oh, good news is we have both engineers still here. Russ is
owners who plan to do the 12-plex over in the area by Quick Trip. And Angela is here too to answer any questions you might have in the site plan. In your packet, you also have the notes from Angela regarding the site plans. Staff has also reviewed them and looked over them, and staff had no issues with the development as is. So Russ, can you bring up and kind of present the project?
And I believe Plan Commission has recommended this for approval as well.
Yes, Planning Commission has recommended this for approval. It passed unanimously through Planning Commission.
Yep.
Good evening, I'm Russ
Hi,
Kivinen,
Russ.
Cedar Corporation. Familiar faces from past two planning commission meetings. Pleasure to be here tonight. Your exciting meeting, government at work.
Yeah.
Very well done. Again, as Devin mentioned, it's a proposed 12-unit apartment building by CNE Werzer Builders. It's located on Lot 2, the city-owned property adjacent to Quick Trip, across the street from the assisted living memory care building facility. 24 two-bedroom, two-bath units proposed. Each unit will have its own individual garage for parking and parking in front of the garage building.
24 or 12?
Pardon?
24 or 12?
12 units.
12, okay. I thought I heard you say 24.
24 parking spots.
Oh, 24 parking spots. Got it, okay.
2 for each unit. Zoning is R3, so that's what R3 zoning allows. It's maximum 12 units per lot, so it's in compliance with R3. We've been working with Angela and her team for the past month through some plan review comments. I believe we've addressed every comment except one, and one remaining to take care of, and that's a stormwater connection that she has in her list of comments. We're tying, we have 2 storm sewer systems along the side lot line. One ties into the sub-out line that was put in with Ridge Road, and then we're gonna tie the other storm sewer into the back of an inlet at the curb area under comments.
Sure.
To extend that line and tie everything into the sub-out line. So
Okay.
I'll be making that revision. We've submitted to the FAA for the height, airport area height, so we're waiting for that permit to come in. Just received today the DNR notice of intent for construction erosion control permit was approved today.
Perfect. That's great to hear.
And I know I have copies of plans, pictures of the buildings, again, if you want to see them, the architectural plans, the full site civil plans.
It'll be similar to the photos that you showed, the tuck under
City
garages.
photos.
They have all that information in the packet.
Yeah, we have it.
You have it in the packet. The architect is Bob Johnson out of Eau Claire. He's the architect, and again, I'm the site civil engineer. So with that, I'll open up to any questions. It'll provide some nice tax base for your TIF district, obviously.
Yeah.
pay for
It's in
some of
TIF
your
3.
improvements you've done.
TIF 3, yeah. No incentive needed. This is a straight build out.
And the picture there is a picture that'll be facing 35. So the
That's right.
garages will be facing north and south, and that is going to face on the west side of 35.
Sure.
That looks good.
Yep.
I just had one question when you're tying in storm sewers.
Yes.
You're doing a wraparound. How is that? What's going on with that? Why is that happening?
So there's a storm sewer that's stubbed out to this property, the one furthest to the north, and that goes under the road basically to the pond that is right by the senior housing.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's where that lot was included in on that pond when they built it
Yeah.
previously.
Yeah.
So when they built it
Yep.
with the road.
Yeah.
So they specifically stubbed out a storm sewer for them to connect to.
Okay. And that won't be over capacity or anything at all.
There's nothing else over there.
Yeah.
So
In fact, that lot is 1.6 acres, and because of the steep hillside grade, a lot of the trees on the backside will remain or staying on that hillside, so just a hair over an acre of that 1.6 acre lot is being developed for this 12 unit. So pretty good use of space, so a lot
Really
of green
efficient.
space on the
Yeah,
property.
very efficient.
Yes.
That's all the questions I got.
I had just one. It says the site disturbance will exceed an acre, so the DNR stormwater permit will be required, and then there's going to be a long-term maintenance agreement that will be needed. Do we need that now, or will that be coming, or did you already touch on this?
Go ahead, cover it.
Or what's the process? I guess I'm asking.
Yeah, we received the DNR permit today.
Okay.
And since there is no stormwater pond on the site, there won't be a need for a stormwater pond maintenance agreement.
Okay.
All green space is part of the development. The developer will be mowing the lawns, there's a landscape plan and so forth, so.
And was this the one where there was discussion about payment for recreation space?
You still
Yeah.
need to determine recreation space payment in lieu of park space being provided on.
Because our code currently provides
Well,
for a
that's
certain
one issue
amount
that's out
per
there.
square foot of park space
Yep.
on each development. And
Good.
since that's not present here, they're offering payment in lieu of that.
Yes.
So
You could take that money to put towards a
The park
larger
system.
park
Yeah.
instead of,
Yep.
you know,
That
one
makes
acre
sense.
development having a very small.
Route one swing.
taking more money is fine. I don't have a problem with
No,
taking
yeah, I don't have.
more money.
I read that. That made sense to me.
Yeah, very common. All
Yeah.
municipal codes have that for smaller.
Swing, yeah, the money goes to fix the window in the library.
Any other questions from anybody?
Nope.
If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the site plans.
I'll make a motion to approve the site plan for Worcester Brothers,
I'll
PID
second that.
165.
Okay, motion by Bruce, seconded by Van.
Oh, did you make a motion? Or did you ask us to do it?
I did.
Okay. I'll
I
second.
take direction, Will.
Seconded by Van to approve the site plans. Any discussion on motion on the floor?
Nope.
Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion passes 4-0.
One question, if you could give a quick timeline of building to completion too.
Yeah, as soon as they can get their building permit, they'll be breaking ground within the next few weeks here.
Occupancy in 24 then.
And then they'll
Nice.
be done in the spring.
Great. Good luck.
Outstanding. Yeah.
Thank you very
Smooth
much.
sailing.
Thank you for hanging around.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Moving on. Yes, sorry. Item 6C, grant opportunity, 3rd and River Street, Stevens Engineering.
So,
Welcome, Angela.
thank you. Every 2 years, WISDOT puts out grant money help through the local road improvement program.
Yes, we're very familiar with that with Simmon Drive.
Yes.
It's not a joint road this time, so.
We have picked 3rd Avenue and River Street, and looking that that project, of course, is a very large value. So these grants, if you submit an application, it goes into 2 chances, 2 pots of money, where it's either a discretionary, which is 50-50, or the supplementary, which is up to 90%.
90%, right, yeah.
However, they say in the past years, they've only awarded 70% maximum.
Okay.
So they would highly recommend that you don't request anything. They're asking for your requested percentage, and that you don't request anything over 70. It was kind of the strongly worded email from WISDOT.
I guess that's one way to put it.
So, yes, so they do say it's 90%, and it's really not. So, that's where, we believe though with Third and River, with potential development, you have economic, you know, you have economic development, you have residential development. There's a lot of, very positive, attributes that can be, arguments for us to get the grant.
Yep.
So that is what's in there. If you had any, you know, my whole narrative's in there, the cost estimate's in there. If you have any questions or comments regarding this, this grant is due on November 15th. So we have a little time, so I am looking for any feedback on it. But if not, if you want to move forward with submitting the application, I will need your signature at some point before November 15th. And that's about it. Is there any questions on it?
Yeah, this time too, keep in mind there is, we're not dictating where the traffic flow or anything like that, but more the scope of the project.
Yeah, right now, we do not have to go into details. I just have to have a
Project,
very
an
generous
over,
cost
yeah.
estimates to make sure we're covered.
Yeah.
And then they'll,
Construction, yeah.
yeah, and then we can figure out design details if we get the grant.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
so is there a chance for concurrent award or no? Like from both pots?
No, no.
One or the
It's
other?
one or the other.
Got it.
So
Yeah,
best
they
case
will
70,
decide.
worst case 50,
50.
which is still better
Correct.
than zip.
Correct. And if for some reason we get the grant and you decide not to move forward with the project, you can pass on the money, of course, but just, you know. so
Pass
this
the
is
money
not-
on to what?
Pass, just not take
Just,
up on it.
just
It
not
doesn't hurt
take
else.
the grant. For some reason,
Oh.
if the project, if you don't want to move forward with the project, this isn't, once you put it in, you have to do the
Oh,
project.
okay.
So I just
No
want to make
penalty.
sure you're not, you don't
Except
feel
for
like
my
you're tied.
reading of the write-up, we need to do this sooner than later.
Yes.
That street's in terrible condition.
It is.
We've talked about this since 2010. I
Yeah.
mean, we did a survey on it in 2010,
Any,
so.
any
I live
River,
on that street. I
any
know
River
it.
Street residents here besides
Yeah.
Bruce? Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I've been on that street many times walking.
Todd, is that what rating is that straight on?
River Street in itself has a pretty good Hazer rating. However, it's the avenues, 3rd through 7th, that are really desperate.
That connect to it, yeah.
Yeah, I believe that's a 4 and a 5 on those. Like third is a 4 Pacer rating, which is
It's gonna go down
full
next year.
reconstruct.
Yeah.
The biggest
And then
issue
the
is
5
the utility concern.
Yes,
Everything-
stormwater, all of it.
Stormwater
Yes.
and even the water and sewer.
Yes.
is ancient.
Yeah, there's basins in there that I know are crumbled and
Yep.
there's pipes in there that are clay that are gone. Oh, yeah.
Oh, the best part is the brick sewer.
Yeah.
That's something.
Bricks and
So
mortar.
this is gonna require a realignment of the CIP then, right? If this is awarded?
Well, we're redoing our CIP anyway.
Oh, that's what I was just gonna say. So we're already in the
Perfect
middle of
timing.
redesigning it. So is this
Yeah.
gonna be taken into consideration during that process?
Yep.
Yeah.
True, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna be all talking.
So worst case scenario is a 50%. So we're looking at, what is it, a $3 million project? So 1.5 we have to come up with? Okay.
You borrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Super.
That's the way to go.
Let's see what happens.
Uh,
You can entertain a
do you need
motion to direct her to apply for the grant.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Bruce, second by Neil. To direct Stevens Engineering to complete the grant application. Any discussion on the motion?
Nope.
Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries 4-0. Thank you.
Thanks, Angela.
I'll hang around for a signature if you need it.
I'll send it to you later.
Sounds good.
Well,
All right. Item 6D.
Well, it's not good news that we're used to doing this, but we had already set a protocol kind of how we go about doing this in June, May, June, when we had a vacancy already, but.
Department of Public Works. If you'd let me read the description.
Sorry about that.
Department of Public Works, sale of equipment. Todd.
So grand.
I know, right? I'm like, whoa, wait a minute.
Chill out. Relax.
Yeah, I'm pushing the board this evening because we have 3 pieces of equipment that are currently, what this stems from is as we move into 2024, we're up to purchase and replace our current 2011 Chevrolet 1-ton. There's $60,000 set aside in the CIP. At 2020, when we developed that current CIP plan, it would have bought us that truck. However, we are short of the funds. Now, typically, we'll turn trucks in, or I guess, dealer trade.
Yeah.
What I'm seeking here is, because it's not a critical asset, is looking at these items and trying to sell them and taking advantage of the private market so we can get the most money that we can from the sale of these items. Another Bobcat welder, as mentioned, it's in order to operate it, it's a stick welder. We don't do mobile welding here. It's outside our capacity. We can't even run it. It's engine ran by itself. So we can't even have it in the shop and weld due to the exhaust. So what we're seeking is the sale of that, replacing it with a better welder. Any additional funding through the sale of any of these items, we're looking to sort of put together sort of an internal savings account.
Yeah.
For only fiscal year 2024 to try and take advantage and get some things that replace that either aren't on the CIP or things that are desperately needed. So
Yeah, sudden breakage or whatever.
that's it, yes.
Yeah. It's nice to have a little spare fund there.
It would be good.
Does that go like into an outlay account or how is that?
Any received funds will go into workforce as,
Revenues.
under revenues, correct?
Yeah, we can make sure, like, if
You can earmark it.
kind of
for-
be market, yeah, make sure that money's available for him to use,
Yep.
but, you know, it's understanding it does go in general fund. But I wanna make sure Todd has access to this money too,
Yep.
so we don't go someplace like that.
And it's rolled over and not filled in for shortages in the general fund?
That's what I'm saying, is
Yeah.
generally, you can't necessarily earmark something like that, because it'll just go in the
Right.
general fund.
Right.
So it technically could be used for that, but I'm gonna strongly advise you, Todd's been on his way here, selling equipment he's not using to make the betterment of his department, so.
Yep.
Make sure we just keep that in mind when we look at the budget coming up in a few weeks.
Yep.
That's a good way to
Basically,
work
spend it
the
quickly.
Yeah.
You've
Right.
probably got enough things to do that you can find money to spend it on.
That's real good.
Find
Yeah,
things
like
to do.
replacing that truck at 60,000 is not gonna get us where we wanna be, so if we can capitalize on a potential $25,000, private sale.
Yeah.
We can add that to that 60.
Probably
And
get
then
it.
we're at that sort of benchmark where we can.
85 is what it's
Oh,
gonna be.
easily. Yeah, because it's got to be a 3/4 ton, right?
Yeah.
One ton?
actually,
Or more,
we're-
a 1 ton, yeah.
Yeah, we've stretched the 1 ton to its
Yeah, that's an
maximum.
$85,000 truck. Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Looking at like, for instance, like a F-550 or a F-450.
Correct.
Yeah.
The truck that you recently purchased, that one was purchased from Osceola Auto Sales. What was the purchase price on that one again?
25,000.
It was a $25,000 truck. So I've heard some chatter in the community about the fact that there's a new truck being driven around, but I'm like, people, we got a great deal on it. We jumped on it right away. I mean, that normally to buy a brand new truck would have been a $60,000, $70,000 truck. So
Yes, which was.
this one isn't new. It's a couple of years old. So, but it's worked out
It
well.
just
I mean, I
looks
think you've
nice.
had some,
Looks great.
yeah, you've had some good luck with the upfits on it and everything looks good. So,
Yeah.
so thank you for saving the department some money on that.
It's worked out well.
Yeah, I'll move to approve the sale of these 3 items.
I'll second.
So motion by myself, Brad, second by Neil to approve the sale of the 3 items. Any discussion?
Nope.
Seeing none, move to a vote. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries 4-0.
All
Thanks,
right.
Todd.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. Item 6E, Resolution 23-09, designating allocation of the West Central Wisconsin Biosolids Facility Commission's revenue bonds to municipalities for bank qualification purposes.
Yeah, I thought the person from Ayers will be here tonight, but apparently not. This is for biosolids, which is paid through our sewer fund, which is a revenue fund or the enterprise fund, which means it's not levy supported, it's user supported by rates. This project has been planned for many years and it was cooked into the rates to make sure that we covered the cost of this borrow. Basically what it means is our membership for this group that does the biosolids would go up. But it was already built into the sewer department for this because they knew this was going to happen.
Yeah, the rate change that
The
just
rate
happened
change
had that baked in already.
Had it
Right.
baked in it. So what this is gonna allow is it's a co-op with multiple municipalities around us for a dryer to improve their facility.
The process, yeah.
So
So
we're
that-
going to be stating our
Yeah.
skin in the game for that buy.
And that's-
Yeah, right.
And really and once again, because it's a revenue fund, there's no levy impact to it.
How much are we stating that we're putting in?
It's-
10.35? Is that what I
So-
see?
It's kind of
That's the
a,
percent, I think.
it's kind, yeah, we are about 10% of the overall cost of it.
The total cost is 6.5 million?
Yes.
So we're,
So we're gonna be 10.35%.
so we're committing 600 and some thousand. Yeah.
It's a very confusing topic,
Yeah.
with so many places in play. I've had Rick explain to me, I've had to explain to Rick, if that tells you that we're both going back and forth trying to explain to each other what's actually going on.
The way I read it is like a poker game. Everybody has to ante before we
Yeah,
can
we're
start the
heading
hand.
into this. It's handled by Ayers, though, who is very regarded,
Right.
financial advisors.
Yeah.
So in that term, it's something that needs to be done if we want to continue on with our relationship with this. It actually saves us money that we're contracting.
Yeah, because
and
getting
not
these
doing it ourselves.
biosolids done
Because otherwise we'd be building 10 to 15.
would be way more expensive.
And we're just helping this commission because we have basically tax advantage bonding authority that we can let them use.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna have to pay for it anyway on the rate
Yep.
increase.
No, the rates are already covering it. We
Yeah.
just have
So
to
we're
go.
saving ourselves money by using a tool at our disposal and letting it out to somebody else.
Exactly.
It provides a lower interest rate.
And we have to provide the authority to do that as a board.
Lowers our costs.
Yeah.
So,
Right. Genius.
yep,
Yep.
that's what we have to do.
Thank you.
That's what we're gonna do. So we need a motion to approve resolution 2309.
Yes.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Bruce, second by Neil to approve resolution 2309. Any discussion?
Nope.
Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries 4-0. All right, next item. 6G, process for 6F, board appointments. So we have to talk about some current vacancies that we have and how we want to reshuffle the board appointments that we have.
So
Does somebody have a list of what the current openings are? I did not do my homework on this. I'm sorry. There were some other things overshadowing this.
Forgot all about it.
Are we prevented from continuing our quarterly obligations with some of these things? Or can we kick this down the road?
Well, like admin finance, you can be appointed.
Okay.
And I think that's just, you just become part of
I
it.
think the president serves on admin finance by code,
Yeah,
right?
So I think that one's okay.
Yeah, that one doesn't have to be appointed.
The only one that was on my mind was the bid. And I believe Deb used to be the board representative to the bid, and I would
Okay.
be interested in filling that position and to be the board representative on the bid.
Great, you win.
Congratulations.
Yep, talk to Carrie.
And we're also talking to chamber that the board appoints someone, but I'd be willing to be the board appointment for that.
Great, that works for me.
For the chamber board?
Yeah.
Yeah, the only issue that I'm gonna run into is that if I do step into plan commission and admin finance with this role that I'm in, I may have to relieve myself of potentially being on police and fire, public works, and
You will have to.
yeah, like I think I'm on all three of them, actually. I'm on public works, police and fire, and water sewer.
You
So,
can't have everything.
yeah, I don't need to be on all of those, but I think that it would be reasonable to assume that maybe we could ask the incumbent filling my seat to take those.
I think we should have a conversation about what's open. We got the couple that we've talked about tonight.
Yeah.
And then make a formal. motion
Resolution to,
everything
yeah,
about the
to
changes
confirm those
next month.
appointments, yep.
Make sure we have it written down.
Yep.
Like any other ones, because what else does she have? She's got,
She was on police and fire too, I think.
she's on public works. too.
Public
Yeah,
works.
she was on public works with me, so I might need to
So
retain
we
that
need
one.
to talk, you and I,
Yep.
about what you need to get rid of and then how we're
Yeah.
gonna
Yep.
move forward.
Nope, that's fine.
So am I on the bid?
You're on
You are on
bid.
Did we decide that? Okay.
Welcome.
You stuck your hand up. We're not gonna let you take it
That's
down.
right.
It was not an effort to lower it.
No
Okay.
take backs. All right, any more discussion on that?
Nope.
All right, moving on. 6G, process for new board member. I'm gonna try to make this a relatively short conversation and say we should do the exact same thing that we did for Neil.
Yes, timelines, yep.
Absolutely.
IT timelines, that's all I was looking for.
Notice in the paper as soon as possible,
Yeah.
discussion and interviews
How
happening in
long do
November.
we leave it open?
1 month,
1 month? Okay.
We could do interviews at the November meeting if you want.
yes.
Maybe
Yes.
at the regular November meeting.
To get it
But
filled
that's
as
not gonna
quickly
be
as
a whole
possible.
month that we're waiting then.
That's
Yeah.
fine.
Just so
2
you know.
weeks, 2 weeks then,
Okay, so
whatever.
it'll go in the paper next Wednesday.
Yep. And then that should be long enough then, because the November meeting doesn't happen until second week
14th,
anyway,
it's the
so,
14th, I believe.
yeah, it's a long gap, so,
So we'll look at dates tomorrow and
Yep.
get that done.
Okay.
yeah. It's more than a month away, I know that.
Yeah, we'll
so.
set the same date structure, very similar date structure that we did for the June. meetings.
Great. Great.
You took care of that problem.
All right, moving on. 6I, since H is gone. RFP for auditing services.
Yep, we're requesting to go RFP for our auditing services. Last year, the auditors blamed our lack of staff for the late audit report. This year, I don't know what they can blame because Tanya gave them everything in May. So I would be looking for a new auditing service, an RFP for a new auditing service. With
And
permission.
5 months to do an audit for a place this size
Is unacceptable, in my opinion. I was asking for the audit in May, so. Still don't have it.
So we just need a motion to,
Move forward with our, create an RFP for the auditing
okay, I'll
services.
make a motion to let an RFP for auditing services.
I'll second that.
Motion by Bruce, second by Van, to direct administration to do an RFP for auditing services. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries 4-0. Item 6J, process for hiring a new police chief.
Same as the board membership. Let's go the same route on that.
With Ron's retirement, I'm sure all of you know that, we're looking to fill the police chief position. Ron and I have had some brief conversations about the possibility of how you want to go about hiring, to be hired this position. Some of the options would be that we do it in-house and incur some expenses such as personality assessments, some of the background checks, or we would contract it out to,
Those assessments are nominal in cost, though they're not that bad.
If Ron, you want to chip into it, I think Ron and I would be able to handle it. But if you look at services, it'd be anywhere between $5,000 and $15,000, depending on the company that you got.
So I had the pleasure of sitting on the Enrich process a few weeks ago. And that process was staged an outside firm. And that process basically mimicked what we did when I think Tim Lords was hired here, where we had a couple of committees. One committee was made up of board members and elected officials and had one set of questions like the administrator thought. And another committee was made up of maybe an officer and community members.
Yep.
And they did the panels there. The only thing this outside committee did was they coordinated everything, came up with a list of questions and things like that, which if we decide to do in-house, that we can do together.
It doesn't sound like there's $10,000 to $15,000 in value there.
Right, exactly. And some of these testing that they did is pretty fantastic. I have to get the name of it and stuff, but it pinpoints exactly what community traits they have, where they're strong, where they're not strong, things like that. And they got these tests these days pinpointed pretty well. So,
Yeah.
like you said, I think they're pretty nominal, but that might be another measure to throw in.
Okay. And I would think any of the neighboring, like I would think Polk County would probably be a good resource for that, and what kind of vetting they do for their officers. It's going to be a similar process, I would think.
And then the time frame we'd be looking at would probably be, if we start now, we'd probably want interviews to happen
December.
It's hard to
It's
say
not going to be
in there.
before December.
Yeah, it wouldn't be
So,
with Thanksgiving, and then there's no way
yep.
to get it.
And we have a budget to work on, so I don't want to start the interviews for that process until December at the earliest.
Can I ask a quick question? Are we anticipating similar challenges filling the chief's role that we've been experiencing, filling these other officer positions? And if so, does that necessitate thinking about the potential use of a firm to help with recruitment?
The good news is, in positions like this, you're seeing a significant raise. So people in the police department are always looking for ways to move up in the field.
So we're not anticipating that we're going to be staring at a stack of two or something?
On that, yeah, you'll get a lot of applicants, but the key part is picking on someone who's qualified, experienced, and trained, because you'll get people who have minimal training apply, but they're an experienced officer. I mean, because of the pay bump, you'll get people that apply, but I know some municipalities, just like our administrator position, you may not get the strongest or best candidates right away, or maybe you do, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, you'll have applicants to choose from, unlike officers, but they just have to be qualified.
Yeah.
Okay.
And once again, you don't know that until you open it up and who's available. For instance, for the administrator spot, you guys went through 2 hiring processes. You hope you don't have to do that again. You hope that you have to find the right person.
Yeah,
A
to
lot of
better,
it-
I think,
a
to
lot
better
of it's
answer
also-
your question, it doesn't cost us much to start the first round.
Yeah, well, and I just was asking because I wanted to get a sense
The
of like
temperature, yeah.
the market and whether or not we're gonna,
Yeah.
like,
It's the
it
same
would be
conversation.
productive
Yeah.
if it would be productive to have a firm affirmatively searching, or if we
Yeah.
can do it ourselves. If we can do it
Yeah.
ourselves and it's cheaper, cool.
And the same process too, we want to make sure we hire the right person, not some old pulse. That's exactly what we're doing in the search right now for the officers. We want to make sure we carry that through with with the chief search too.
Yeah, I'm good with a process that involves not really starting the interviews though until after the budget's done. Like,
So we'll create the job description, get that signed off on, and we'll post it.
yeah,
Sounds
we
good.
don't need board action on this, do we? It's
No,
just
a
discussion
heads up,
point.
Direction if you wanted to help us, I mean, if you want us to find a firm, we're doing it
Yeah.
now. So
Yeah,
it
that
sounds
was
like
the
we'll start the
basic
process.
question.
Yeah.
Ron and me.
Okay.
Cool. All right, moving on. 6K, waste management contract.
So our waste management contract is up on December 31st of this year. The question, they have a new service manager for our area. And he was talking about some of the new features that the trucks are going to have. They're switching all the trucks over to arms, if they haven't done already.
Mhm.
And every truck is gonna have a camera on it, and it will take a picture. If someone says, you can pick my garbage up, they can say, your cans weren't out there.
Sure.
So these are some of the improvements that they want me to talk about. And then he wants to come November 2 to talk about, introduce himself, the kind of changes that are happening in waste management.
Okay.
The question I have for you though is if we're comfortable renewing the contract or if it's something that you want to go out RFP for. We have Waterman's, Olson's, and Waste Management in this area. If that's something you want to reach out to, or if you're fine if we go forward with the contract with Waste Management.
How long have we had waste management?
It's been a 3-year contract.
How long before that?
It's been that since I've lived here 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, 20 years
They
waste
must be doing
management.
something right.
They're not doing a lot of things right now.
And
But
that's why you came to talk to me about.
yeah, I'd rather, can we wait for them to come and sing for their supper first?
The hard part's gonna be is how fast can we get the RFP out and get quotes?
Yeah.
And then how fast can Waterman and Olson's, if we did select them, how fast could they get operating in the community?
Well, you can always put their feet to the fire and do the RFP and then let them come and talk to us.
I'll fill that, yes.
I mean,
I'm partial to the idea of seeing, no harm in shopping.
exactly.
To
That's
see
what
what
I,
Could
that's
we
what
do
I'm
a
saying.
1-year contract with them?
No,
They're
they're,
3 years minimum?
they were reluctant to sign a 3-year contract. They prefer 5 years.
I vote we go shopping.
Well, when
See
you
what
own
there
a
is.
nation, you can do anything you
Yeah.
want.
Just from my own personal experience, the
Yeah.
pickup service this year has been atrocious.
And that's,
It's really
and that's why they want to switch the cameras too, because
Yeah.
sometimes it was the citizens line and sometimes it was the truck.
Oh, no, this was,
So
we were notified. Oh, hey, we're not coming today,
No.
or hey, we're not coming this time.
Oh,
We'll be
yeah,
back
yeah.
in 2 more weeks.
He also wanted to tell me that, tell
you're not.
everyone too, that make sure you log on and sign up for their text services and email services, so they don't show up, you know why.
Yeah,
You want me to pass that
right.
message along?
So that we can get angry while we're at work because they didn't come and, yeah, they text us to tell, hey, we're not coming.
If a leaf falls, they're not coming.
Yeah, so I would like to direct you to go to RFP for that for sure.
We have an easy way to get number of people ready. I'll talk to you.
I don't think we have to pass a resolution for that. I think
No,
we just need to
no,
tell
just
you, let's go
direction.
shopping.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Sorry about my vendetta against waste management. I just like things to be done when they said that they're going to be done.
They
Like,
used to be really good.
yeah, I used to get a calendar in my mailbox.
Oh, yeah.
In January
Sure,
every
but
year
that's-
for the whole year. And now I got to beg them to make
Nope.
me one every year.
And you're paying more.
I know. So who knows? Maybe some things are coming down the pipeline that'll be great with this individual
It
coming to
could have
talk
been
to us.
management,
So,
maybe it was.
yeah, could have been. All right, 6L, employee vacation carryover and accruing. I believe we've been given some direction that we're going to table this.
Table till November, we're looking at changing the language. We couldn't quite iron down the language to make it make sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, table it. We talked yesterday at admin finance and the word just we're not coming to any of us in the office today to figure out how to make sense of the situation.
Yeah.
So
So hopefully
It's
you
a
get there.
screwy situation.
Yeah.
All right, I move we table this item until November.
Second.
All right, motion by myself, Brad, second by Neil to table this discussion until November. Any discussion on that?
Nope.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Passed 4-0. 6M, allocation of Horst Foundation grant.
Yep, yesterday we discussed the possibility of using the Horst Foundation grant that we receive every year from the Horst Foundation. It is a grant of $15,000 that they just hand over every year to the village. In the past, it's been divided up into 2 or 3 different departments for beautification, changes in the community, that kind of thing. This year, the fire department is asking if they can get the $15,000 to help with the purchase of the airboat for their fleet. This fits in the category of safety of the river. So we can tie it into the beautification, the healthiness of the river situation too. So that'd be the ask. If we do go down this route, I would recommend too that we make sure that every year then a different department would get the $50,000 so everyone is getting what they deserve.
I want to hear what Ron has to say.
Oh, he.
Oh.
The thing is, you know, when this originally started happening, I think 5,000 was allocated to police.
That's what put our flagpole out front.
5,000 to
Yep.
admin, you know, and the first year we had it, we used our 5,000 to help with the signage on the building.
Yes.
And I think the last 2 years, we went to Public Works, and then next year, it's gone to fire. So at some point, I mean, there's always a need for equipment, and whether it's just our 5,000 back, or whether it's our turn at the table.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'd be happy to take it, because there's always needs, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Is that going to cover it, Paul?
But yes, I'm soliciting 15,000 personally to, through donors.
Okay.
To cover the other 15,000. Otherwise I lose the 40,000.
Yep.
Of capital expenditure.
That's correct.
at the end
Yeah.
of This year, and I don't want to do that.
No, we don't want
The other
that.
thing.
So you're 30 short at this point? Is that where you're at?
Yeah.
We're double checking our numbers on that. This 15 will go a long ways because I've told Paul that we cannot order this unless we have money in hand.
That's correct.
So Paul and I are both looking through the records to make sure that the money's going to be there. This would cover the gap with the money that he's raising. Because we were under the impression in June when we met that we were $30,000 short. So I want to make sure that I'm combing through my notes to make sure.
That's what I remember.
Everything was right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to, here's the deal though. All right, so the 15,000 would go to the fire department, and then I don't know if I'm comfortable with giving, you know, that's a long time. Why can't we, for next year, divide the 15 between the police department and
Admin.
and
Public Works.
Public Works.
You can do whatever you want. I just was, yeah.
I mean, that's just a lot.
I see what you're saying. You
Yeah.
don't want to make one department wait 3 years to get their payoff.
One comment that I would like to make is, and I made it to Bruce and Van yesterday. The airboat doesn't just take firemen up the river, down the river.
Yep.
It takes firemen, and we have to have a police officer with us, and we have to have EMS with us when we go on an EMS call.
Yep.
If we go on a call or anything, we still have to take a Osceola police officer with, and also us.
Yep.
Because we never know from dispatch what we're running into.
Yeah.
Just understand when dispatch tells you that Brad is hurt on the river, that Brad may be hurt because Bruce punched him and beat him up.
That would
We
be
have
good.
to keep the police officer
That would be-
with us. And I'm just
Yeah,
telling you.
yeah.
Or Bruce is standing there with a gun in his hand. You never know.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is that, nothing with the police department, but this is a joint effort on, I mean, I didn't ask for the 15,000 because we moved EMS and us and police officers.
But I don't think it's equitable to split the money 2 ways the next time, and then we could go back to 3 ways. I mean, you know, we have complete discretion on how we do this.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, and Intel Lower Foundation keeps giving us that.
Yeah. Paul, you're still planning on potentially using this as a small fundraising device for mutual aid. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Because there's only a couple airboats in here. I think Lindstrom has one, and then is Amory.
Avery has one, but
Yeah.
Lindstrom's is only a 4-person, 2 operators, and carries 2 people.
Right.
Amory's is only a 2-person.
Right. Right.
And
And
this
this
would be
one that
eight.
you're looking at was an 8-person, fully enclosed, heated.
Fully enclosed and heated for.
Right. So 4 season. Yeah. Yep.
Winter or summer.
Right, Paul told me it sleeps 8.
If you're personally committed to raising the additional money you need outside of this 15, then I'm seeing skin in the game from you. So that was always my biggest thing. And like Devin said, you're not getting it until you got the cash for it. So, and if this is part of that cash, great. And if you're committed to raising the other capital personally on your own, and it's not going to be general fund dollars,
I just
I'm in.
have a timeline. I don't want. to
Right.
lose the
You don't want to lose the CIP funds that are
Yeah.
dedicated for that. Yeah, I get it.
So.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I don't think we need to, I don't think we need to make any motion on that. I think we just, this is.
Agree to do that.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine. This is a
Let's go-
recommendation
let's
that
go
we're all
forth
good
and
with.
do it.
Hopefully you find the money quick and then we'll finally have the airboat you've been talking about for 3 years.
That would be nice.
All right, good on that one?
Yep.
All right, that's it for other business. So we're gonna move to item 7, future agenda items and updates. Looks like there's a 7A there, time and date for budget workshops. So we have to talk about what we're gonna be doing for late October and then a potential November date for budgetary work.
Yeah, let's please get those pick times on the calendar. A representative from Johnson Block would like to be here to give the presentation on the workshop day too.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if you guys are fine with it, we have a couple members that aren't present, so in terms of confirming the dates and times for these additional meetings, I'd be okay with using village email to make these confirmations
I can
work.
create that doodle thing again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
No problem.
yeah, that's fine. Okay, any other future agenda items or updates?
I have one that I like to raise. I, a couple months ago, was talking to Sheriff Walk and asked about the possibility of getting a tour of the jail and dispatch center, which I've never seen.
Okay.
Or if I did see it, it was in middle school, but for good reasons, not for bad. And then also to learn and understand better the interaction between our police department and county police department, and
Right.
to learn about all that. He got in touch and said, if you ever want to have a tour, give me a call. And then also said, if other members want to come, you know, I think that would be an option. So I wanted to raise that and kind of see if anybody else was interested in that. I'd be happy to take the lead on trying to kind of organize that kind of thing. If enough of us came, we would need to figure out how to notice it so that we aren't
Yeah.
conducting an illicit meeting.
Well, as I work at a county sheriff's department, I don't think I need to see a different county myself, but
I'm fine without.
And I used to.
yeah, Van used to be around it.
Then I will go on my lonesome and
Yeah.
share all the cool.
You
things.
don't forget to offer to our
I'll ask
and
that,
Bill
Sheriff.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and our new person that we may have, so,
It's a really nice facility. So.
yeah. Van, anything else?
Nope. Nothing for me.
Bruce? You don't want to extend the meeting any longer? No?
Oh, come on.
All right, seeing no more information, we will adjourn our meeting at 9:20 PM. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Is it that stream, Brad? And then the last step you gotta do. We go to this main page, hit exit page.